Nyaho! Nyaho, everybody! Hi, 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 hi! Nyaho! Haka, you get the first kiss! Haka! Nyaho, Haka! Nyaho, Kalio, Nyaho, Evil, thank you for the resub, itadakimasu! Nyaho, Jank, I was almost first, you could be. You could be. Nyaho, Leora, Nyaho, Bella, Nyaho, Atimo, Nyaho, AJ! Nyaho, Wombat, happy birthday! It's not my birthday! Wombat's out here spreading rumors that it's my birthday! Nyaho, Kalio! Wombat said he's early, but the point stands. It's not my birthday. Nyaho no to kero, it's not my birthday. It's your birthday month, so every day is your birthday? Wombat is spreading fish information! Nyaho Sira! Our birthdays are like a week apart. Is it too late to swap to the other Heresy video? Which one? You left it in the Warhammer chat. Hi, Comrade Tomcat! Warhammer. Is this one gonna make me cry? It's also 2 hours! Hey! Also 2 hours. They both will? Okay, well, Sierra recommended the Amber King one. I don't know. The Amber King is part of a series? Holy. Hey, why don't we also watch the 7-hour Remembrancer one? You link the Luton one? The Luton one's like 40 minutes. Yeah, I saw that and thought, nah. Hey, we can vote on it. You can watch it as a standalone. I've never watched anything by Janovic. Janovic. The other vids in the series is more details. Yeah. The Luton one was 40 minutes. Thank you for being a fish that changed my life. Hi, Barnaby. Okay. Technical difficulties on what we're watching. AJ was the one who recommended we watch the Heresy in full as a timeline. But Sierra recommended this video. I don't know. Should we vote on it? I don't mind if you're locked in, but then you have to do all the other Amber King ones. Hey, we'll put those behind a paywall. I don't know. I thought this one sounded fun. I got invested into it. So we're gonna watch this one, okay, AJ? But thank you for recommending to react to the whole Heresy. We'll stick with the Amber King one. Okay? Yeah. Okay. Let's get into it. 2 hours and 40 minutes. The Amber King. This one has voice acting and music. And I feel like it's gonna get me in the feels. the feels, you know what I'm saying? We got 2 chill guys in chat. It's crazy. I would love to voice actor something like this. What a cool concept, yeah. I vote for the one that gets picked. Janovich, his vids are like the History Channel with pictures, moving JPEGs, and actual representation of the figures and stuff. Oh my gosh. Did you watch Hell's Reach? I did not watch Hell's Reach yet. That was not on the list this week. Hi, Big E. Hi, Iron Duke. Hi, Toggle. Okay. Okay, we're doing the Amber King, guys. Right on time, Nyaho Johnny. Let's go, 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 go. Are you ready for this? Hi, Demon DBS. Okay. Let's go. If you've watched history vids with moving blocks, I've never watched that.
It is a time of legend. The galaxy is in flames. The Emperor's glorious vision for humanity is in ruins. His favored son, Horus, has turned from his father's light and embraced chaos.
Horus.
His armies, the mighty and redoubtable Space Marines,
thank you, Sarah,
are locked in a brutal civil war.
Hey, let's run it back. Hey. Is the volume good?
It is a time of legend. The galaxy is in flames. The Emperor's glorious vision for humanity is in ruins. His favored son, Horus, has turned from his father's light and embraced chaos. His armies, the mighty and redoubtable Space Marines, are locked in a brutal civil war. Once these ultimate warriors fought side by side as brothers, protecting the galaxy and bringing mankind back into the Emperor's light. Now they are divided. Some remain loyal to the Emperor, whilst others have sided with the War Master. Preeminent amongst them, the leaders of their 1,000-strong legions are the Primarchs. Magnificent, superhuman beings, they are the crowning achievement of the Emperor's genetic science.
The Sons.
Thrust into battle against one another, victory is uncertain for either side.
A little quiet.
At Istvaan III, Horus dealt a vicious blow and 3 loyal legions were all but destroyed. War has begun.
How's that?
A conflict that will engulf mankind in fire. Treachery and betrayal have usurped honor and nobility. Assassins lurk in every shadow. Armies are gathering. All must choose a side or die. Horus musters his armada, terror itself the object of his wrath. Seated upon the golden throne, the Emperor waits for his wayward son to return. But the true enemy is chaos, a primordial force that seeks to enslave mankind to its capricious whims. The screams of the innocent, the pleas of the righteous resound to the cruel laughter of dark gods. Suffering and damnation await should the Emperor fail and the war be lost. The age of knowledge and enlightenment has ended. The age of darkness has begun.
The Heresy!
The great triumph at Ullanor. The great crusade. The reclamation of the stars under the Imperium of mankind. For 2 centuries,
Emperor crowned his favorite son Horus, Luperclaus,
have conquered the galaxy. After countless battles and compliances, the last true threat to mankind's dominion over the stars had been vanquished, and the great Orc Empire of Ullanor is shattered. The few Xenos who survived have fled, to be hunted down by elements of the White Scars, Alpha Legion, and Blood Angels. Warboss Orlak Uruk was slain, cast down by the Primarch and preeminent son, Horus Lupercal. With the Imperium's victory, the Emperor declared a grand triumph. The mechanicum of Mars planed smooth an entire continent. Mountains were erased, valleys flattened,
A tide.
the pathway half a kilometer wide and 500 long. The sides of its road decorated with the skulls of fallen greenskins. Hundreds of thousands of Astartes. 8 million army regulars, and entire legions of Titans had gathered. The skies were filled with fluttering banners, with unending squadrons of aircraft and low-hanging warships. It was the turning point of the Great Crusade itself, a pivotal moment for the Emperor, master of mankind and beloved by all. A moment to be shared with his warriors. Before his brothers and the Imperium, Horus Lupercal was declared War Master, charged to lead the armies of the Great Crusade in place of the Emperor. As the Master of Mankind declared his departure from the Crusade, to the weeping of millions, the Emperor's host and his custodians returned to Terra, continuing the great work of the Webway project, the true future and salvation for the species. The reign of the Imperium's conquest passed to his most beloved son. The Council of Nikaea. Before the Emperor could truly depart for Terra, the Cold War had finally reached a boiling point. The question of the use of psykers within the Legiones Astartes had to be settled. After decades of controversy and disagreement regarding the use of psychic powers, the Master of Mankind calls for a Grand Council. What began as a council of debates quickly turned into a trial of Magnus the Red and his legion.
Oh.
Several Primarchs spoke, some in favor of the Librarius, others against it. After long heated debate, accusations and even espionage, the Emperor made his decision. Delving into Magnus's mind, he saw his sins. The Edict of Nikaea was issued. The Librarius was to be disbanded. All librarians returned to battle companies, and psykers were banned from use, with the exception of navigators and astropaths. Worst yet was the Emperor's word to Magnus, promising to visit destruction upon the Crimson King and his 1,000 sons, if they were to treat with the warp again.
Oh,
The serpent
he scolded
launched at the
him.
corruption of Horus. 4 years into his reign as War Master, Horus was called to the world of Davin, at the behest of First Chaplain Erebus of the Wordbearers, a system brought under compliance by the then Lunar Wolves and Wordbearers, 5 decades before. Now as War Master, Horus returned with his legion, renamed to the Sons of Horus. Davin, a world gifted the command of the friend of Horus, Eugen Temba. Spoken by Erebus, Temba had betrayed the Imperium
Oh, we hate
and
Erebus,
Horus
right?
decades ago, until the Legion arrived above Davin and its moon, leading to a furious assault led by the War Master himself, striking Temba's position upon the moon, only for the Sons of Horus to find Temba and his men had become animated, decaying corpses.
Oh.
The War Master sought
Oh.
out Temba personally, to deal out the justice of the Emperor. Instead, Horus was wounded by the anatheme, a Xenos blade stolen from the Interrex by Chaplain Erebus. The stone blade should have been nothing against the might of a Primarch, yet the wound dealt forced Horus to collapse, his life ebbing away. The resistance
what
on the
happened?
moon was utterly crushed, but the Sons of Horus felt no victory. They were drowned in outrage and the fear of losing their beloved father. The apothecaries of the Legion worked tirelessly, but none possessed the experience of a Primarch's body. War Master Horus Lupercal would make his peace, his final words recorded by his personal remembrancer. On the edge of his death, Erebus, First Chaplain of the Wordbearers, offered his aid to the Sons of Horus, utilizing the existing warrior lodges. The Mournival, the 4 most trusted captains of the Legion, argued and debated, some listening to the whispers of Erebus. Ezekiel Abaddon and Horus Aximand, in their desperation, were willing to hand over their dying father to the
Don't do
Serpent
it!
Lodges upon Davin proper.
Don't do it!
Garviel Loken and Tarek Torgadon voicing their disagreement. This debate creating a permanent rift within the Mournival. The choice was made, and the aid of Erebus and his mysterious serpent lodges was accepted, as Loken and Torgadon made to find the Anatheme, hoping to find an alternative way to save their Primarch. But they were too late. Delivered on a kite's shield to weeping millions, the Warmaster made his last procession, entering the Serpent Temple doors on death's doorstep. Transported into a vision alongside a disguised Erebus, Horus was shown a grimdark future.
These are some of my brothers, but where are the others? Where am I? I am his chosen regent! I fought on 1,000 battlefields for him. The blood of my warriors is on his hands, and he ignores me like I don't exist. This can't be true.
Horus, my brother. You must not believe whatever he has told you. It is lies, all of it. Lies that disguise his sinister purpose.
Those with courage and character to speak the truth always seem sinister to the ignorant. You dare speak of lies while you stand before us in the warp. How can this be without the use of sorcery? Sorcery you were expressly forbidden to practice by the Emperor himself.
Do not presume to judge me, whelp!
You are too far away, Magnus. Your powers cannot reach me here.
Nor can you, Erebus. You come to me cloaked in the identity of another. You claim my brother Magnus is naught but some warp beast set upon devouring me, and then you speak to him as though he is exactly as he seems. If he is here by sorcery, then how else can you be here?
You are right, my lord. The sorcery of the Serpent Lodge has sent me to you to help you, and to offer you this chance of life. The Serpent Priestess had to cut my throat to do it, and once I return to the world of flesh, I will kill the witch for that. But know that everything I have shown you is real.
I don't know about
You saw
that.
it yourself, and you know the truth.
The future is not set, Horus. Erebus may have shown you a future, but that is only one possible future. It is not absolute. Have faith in that.
Faith
Have faith in your
is
family.
just another way of not wanting to know what is true.
You think I don't know that, Magnus? I know of the warp and the tricks it can play with the mind. I am not stupid. I knew that this was not Sejanus, just as I knew that without a context, everything I have seen here is meaningless. You must take me for a fool, Erebus, if you thought that such simple parlor tricks would bewitch me to your cause.
You should know that I came to you at the behest of my lord and master Lorgar. He already has knowledge of the Emperor's quest to ascend to godhood, and has sworn himself to the powers of the warp. When the Emperor rejected Lorgar's worship, he found other gods all too willing to accept his devotion. My Primarch's power has grown tenfold, and it is but a fraction of the power that could be yours were you to pledge yourself to their cause.
He lies! Lorgar is loyal. He would never turn against the Emperor. Think of what this mongrel dog is asking you to do. He would have you spit on your oaths of loyalty. He is forcing you to betray the Emperor and turn on your brother Astartes. You must trust the Emperor to do what is right.
The Emperor plays dice with the fate of the galaxy, and he throws them where they cannot be seen.
Horus, please!
Be quiet. You are no better than Erebus. You will not manipulate me like this, for I am Horus. I am the War Master. I can trust neither of you. I am Horus, and I make my own fate.
The Warmaster was perverted from the Emperor's light.
No, Horus! You just need to trust your family and your brother and your dad. Oh, man. Horus rhymes with hubris. Am I right? The context is that Horus was shown the future 40k, the Emperor God, half the statues of the Primarch's God, and Chaos told him Biggie plans this. They leave out the part where all that happened because he takes steps towards doing the heresy. Oh no, they showed him. Oh, they tricked him! Poor guy. And he didn't have faith.
Convinced to enact betrayal to save mankind with the aid of warp gods. Although Primarch Magnus the Red tried to save Horus from Erebus's deception, the attempt failed. Seeing no other choice, the Primarch of the Thousand Suns would break the Edict of Nikaea, deciding to warn the Emperor personally. To the roar of crowds, the War Master emerged fully healed. As Horus began to plot his grand scheme, his attention was turned to each of the legions. The World Eaters, Death Guard, and Emperor's children were amongst the first declaring themselves for the War Master. The breaking of the Webway. In failing to save Horus from corruption, Magnus the Red decided that any price was worth paying to warn the Emperor.
Not any price,
The communication with Terra had
Magnus!
become almost impossible, with warp storms and psychic wards guarding the throne world. Many thralls had already been sacrificed in Magnus's quest, and another 900 would die, so that the Primarch might astral project himself before his father. Magnus was warned of the potential dangers by his son Ahriman, but the Crimson King vowed to bear the consequences upon himself. Barred at the gate, within the Sea of Souls, Magnus was offered the power with which to tear his way into the Emperor's Webway, the power offered by a disguised Chaos God Tzeentch.
No.
Magnus drunk deep in the strength, shattering the golden lattice that prevented him from reaching his father. With his choice, thousands of tech priests and scientists were burned in the backlash, the Terran wards broken, the Webway flooding with demons, following behind the Primarch in a tidal wave. Magnus attempted to warn his father of Horus's betrayal, with the heartbreak radiating from the Emperor when he saw what his son had done, made delivering the message impossible. The
No,
two
it
called out
didn't
to each
even
other,
work.
their minds melding, as Magnus fled in shame. The Emperor was forced to lead his custodians into the Webway, not to continue his great work, but to instead fight to save the future of the species. The burning of Prospero.
He did all
Emperor-
of that for what? Oh my gosh! We're 15 minutes in and everybody's betraying everybody and breaking everybody's heart. We're supposed to be a family. This is why parents buy their kids phones, man. So you can text when your brother's trying to betray the whole of humanity. Instead of astral projecting your ass in there. Get this man's a pager at least.
Was quick to issue his judgment, declaring a writ of censure for the Thousand Suns for breaking the edicts of Nikaea. Upon Terra, Custodian Valdor would gather a formidable force, containing elements of the most elite regiments drawn from Terra, a detachment of Legio Custodes, and unknown to most observers, through the entire vigils of Silent Sisterhood, joining the censure force alongside entire mandibles of Ordo Sinister. Valdor's initial command was quickly passed to Primarch Leman Russ,
Lemon.
the Emperor's executioner, and strong opponent of psychic power. The Emperor commanded that the Wolf King arrest Magnus and return him to Terra for trial. Yet the War Master intervened. As a censure host of Valdor was joined by the majority of the 6th Legion, Horus would send 5,000 of his own warriors, and 12 god engines of Legio Mortis. The sons of Horus brought a message with them, its true contents lost to time. But what is known in that message caused Leman Russ to vow he would slay his brother. The Space Wars began equipping their forces with enough phosphex to burn out entire systems. Capital ships equipped with Exterminatis-grade munitions, previously deemed too dangerous to utilize. It was rumored that Russ and Valdor disagreed on their mission, the two arguing in private. but ultimately Valdor still joined Russ in his journey to Prospero, upon the Thousand Suns homeworld.
Wait, which brother is Lemon wanting to kill? Horus or Magnus? Hello? Dad should have never turned off the security monitors in your little nerd room, and that's what I said. And this shit shows why I'm a Gilliman fan. The girls are fighting! Oh my goobus. Okay, Lemon wanted to kill Magnus. Okay. Horus sent a message to Lemon and was like, hey, actually, we don't know what he said. But whatever it was, Lemon's like, yeah, F that man, Magnus. I hate his ass. I'm gonna kill him. His ass is mine. Okay. He doesn't know Horus is corrupt. So Lemon thinks Magnus is corrupt. Yes? And he's like, F that guy, F that corrupt guy. We don't have no corrupties in this family. Horus told Lemus to kill Magnus. Heard. And he was like, bet. Because that little two-timing little freaking... Got it. Okay. Let's go.
Magnus prepared for the coming storm, yet not preparing to resist. The Primarch gathered his sons, sealing off communications with the Imperium.
Everyone still thinks Horus is the goat.
His fleet
Daddy's
so it could offer
chosen.
no resistance. From the Astartes to the Prosperian Spire Guard, no defense.
Right. Because they knew that Magnus effed up, but Magnus wasn't able to say, hey, I effed up because I wanted to tell you this because Horus is no good. But nobody knew that. So Horus was probably like, hey, Lemon, guess what? Maggie effed up. He broke Dad's rules. He endangered all of humanity. He fricked us over. Let's get his ass. Makes sense. Okay. And everyone's like, yeah, you're the GOAT, Horus. You're the freaking GOAT. I'm gonna listen to you, man. You're Dad's favorite. Heard.
Preparations were taken. Warriors instead maintained their war gear, continuing their training, ignorant of the threat now approaching. Though the defenses of Prospero were mighty, and the Legion's capabilities were world-breaking, death was coming. A sacrifice of a legion at their own Primarch's hands. The approach of the Censure host was slow and methodical, expecting the Thousand Suns fleet to ambush them. Instead, the path to Prospero was wide open.
They just laid there and took it!
Space stations were all destroyed.
Oh!
Although Leman Russ had come to Prospero with wrath, he gave his brother Magnus one chance to surrender, so he might answer for his crimes. Russ waited an entire hour for a response, and yet none came. And so Prospero burned, as the Censure host unleashed their firepower. The verdant forests of Prospero were razed. Its seals boiled and turned to scalding cloud banks into Tisca. But what stunned the Censure host was that Tisca was still left standing. The Prosperian Spire Guard had mobilized, despite the civilian population being lost to absolute panic. But still the Thousand Suns and their Primarch remained absent. The Censure hosts expected a slaughter, but were now faced with a siege. And so the 6th Legion descended and began their assault. But the Spire Guards believed they could hold a line, attempting to force the enemy back. They were faced with the relentless charge of the 6th Legion. Within the first 15 minutes, the Spire Guard lost 10,000 men.
Oh my!
Soldiers and civilians alike were butchered. Defenses were swiftly overrun, and the defenders of Prospero were on the brink. Until the Thousand Suns emerged, defying the orders of their Primarch. All across Tisca, space walls were ambushed, drawn into traps or forced into hit-and-run battles. The Primarch Leman Russ ordered in his second wave, as the entire city was being ripped apart by the violence of 2 legions. Finally, Baldur ordered the Terran contingent to join the battle, forcing the Thousand Suns to spread themselves thin between facing their 6th Legion brothers and the talons of the Emperor. Battle of Tisca raged for hours, many of the Thousand Sons breaking their edicts and unleashing devastating sorcery, ripping apart the very fabric of reality. The Thousand Sons were almost driven to complete extinction, and at the heart of this maelstrom, Leman Russ jeweled his brother, Magnus finally emerging as the violence had reached their libraries. Leman Russ hauled his brother in the air, breaking the back of Magnus upon his knee.
Oh!
Broken and defeated, the censured 15th would escape into the psychic maelstrom, their broken Primarch once again reaching for power he did not understand. The world had burned. The 15th Legion had disappeared, as Leman Russ was the last warrior to leave in the ashes of Prospero. The Istvaan III atrocity.
Oh my goodness. Broke his back on his knee? And then Magnus was like, you know what, let's get some more power over here. Oh my goodness. That's crazy. Thank you for the raid, Nectar Nox. Welcome in. Okay. So, Thousand Sons, Gonzo. Magnus, we don't know he's a perpetual yet, right? So, we think he's Gonzo. Lemon walks out of there. Zinch warped him. Oh, okay. Got it. This is where they turn blue, no? Thousand Sons gone. Did you eat them? No, their freaking cousins ate them. They're little wolf cousins. The book goes into deep, gruesome detail about how brutal Leman and the wolves are on the people. It's a bloodbath. Russ doesn't know a lick of mercy in the entire battle. Oh, yeah. Well, if he thinks that Magnus is betraying his whole family and the human race, then of course he's not going to have any mercy. He's going to be like, F you guys. Okay.
Horus began the Istvaan III atrocity. When Horus began planning his great betrayal, a perfect opportunity would arise.
He's planning.
The distant Istvaan system rose in open rebellion, and it would be here that Horus would bring his legion, alongside elements of the Emperor's children, World Eaters and Death Guard. Their Primarchs already swayed the War Master's cause. Upon Istvaan III, they would commit their greatest atrocity, as over 100,000 Astartes were sent into the coral city of Istvaan. 100,000 warriors sent to die.
Oh.
Each of these Astartes was deemed too loyal to the Emperor, heroes of the Great Crusade, who would be obliterated by the Life Eater virus.
Oh,
while the remembrances sent by the Emperor to record the Great Crusade were forced to watch.
I confused the colorful ones.
You see now,
said Horus to the assembled remembrances.
This is war. This is cruelty and death. This is what we do for you, and yet you turn your face from it.
Weeping men and women clung to one another in the wake of such monstrosity, unable to comprehend the scale of slaughter that had just been enacted in the name of the Imperium.
You have come to my ship to chronicle the Great Crusade, and there is much to be said for what you have achieved. But things change, and times move on.
Continued Horus.
Things change,
as the Astartes warriors along the flanks of the chamber closed the doors, and stood before them with their bolters held across their chests.
The Great Crusade is over. The ideals it once stood for are dead, and all we have fought for has been a lie. Until now. Now, I will bring the Crusade back to its rightful path and rescue the galaxy from its abandonment at the hands of the Emperor,
said Horus, his voice booming with power and strength. Astonished gasps and wails spread around the chamber at Horus's words, and he relished the freedom he felt in saying them aloud. The need for secrecy and misdirection was no more. Now he could unveil the grandeur of his designs for the galaxy, and cast aside his false facade to reveal his true purpose.
You cry out, but mere mortals cannot
sorry, who
hope to
called him
comprehend
handsome?
the scale of my plans.
Said Horus, savouring the looks of panic that began to spread amongst the audience chamber. No iterator could ever have a crowd so completely in the palm of his hand.
Unfortunately, this means that there is no place for the likes of you in this new crusade. I am to embark on the greatest war ever unleashed on the galaxy, and I cannot be swayed from my course by those who harbor disloyalty.
Horus smiled, the smile of an angelic executioner.
Kill them. All of them.
Bolt of fire stabbed into the crowd at the War Master's order. Flesh burst in wet explosions, and 100 bodies fell in the first fusillade. The screaming began as the crowd surged away from the Astartes.
Hello?
Marched into their midst.
What in the cognitive dissonance is this?
Guns blazed and roaring chainsaws rose and fell. The slaughter took less than a minute, and Horus turned away from the killing to watch the final death throes of Istvaan III. Abaddon emerged from the shadows, where he and Malagos had watched the slaughter of the remembrances. "My lord," said Abaddon, bowing low.
What is it, my son?
Ship surveyors report that the virus is mostly burned out.
And the gaseous levels?
Off the scale, my lord, smiled Abaddon. The gunners await your orders. Horus watched the swirling, noxious clouds enveloping the planet below. All it would take was a single spark. He imagined the planet as a frayed end of a fuse. A fuse that would ignite the galaxy in a searing conflagration that would lead to inexorable conclusion on Terra.
Order the guns to fire,
said Horus,
Don't do it!
his voice cold.
let the galaxy burn.
No!
The end of the Great Crusade was heralded by the death scream of 6 billion souls. The seeds
6
of
billion!
Istvaan III were boiled away, and all life on the planet was extinguished. The birth of the Horus Heresy came with a single spark, followed by a planet-wide firestorm. For a moment, Istvaan was quiet, but then there was a roar. Nearly 30,000 loyalists had survived in deep bunkers, and their defiance
Let's
would
freaking
echo
go.
for eternity.
Let's freaking go!
Communication channels
Bomb
crackled
shelter.
into life, and the Vox became a verbal war zone. Many demanded answers, and others screamed in defiance and spat curses against those who betrayed them. Oaths of brotherhood were announced. The battle for Istvaan III had only just begun, and the first to meet the Loyalists in open battle was the Primarch Angron. The Red Angel charged the surface of Istvaan III, at the head of 5,000 World Eaters. Captain Erlen faced his Primarch with a mere 2,000 survivors, as the other legions joined the battle. Those who once called each other friend and brother began to kill. Warriors were ripped limb from limb. Blades were slashed into each other. For 2 months, the Loyalists held out.
2
Under the
months?
command of Emperor
2 months of ripping each other apart after surviving a bunker of nukes. Hello? Oh my gosh. And some people are still believing Horus is on the right here. Hello? They're like, yeah, he's doing this for the good of humanity, man. Gotta trust the War Master? You know, I don't know. Why don't we trust the Peace Master or something? Hello? The Love Master, maybe. Oh my god. Russ was anti-psyker, and they just had a big meeting with the Emperor and Primarch Psychic. Then Emperor reiterated, don't use psychic power. Oh yeah, so if he was already anti-psyker and Horus was like, hey Lehman, guess what Magnus did? He psychered his way into Terra and effed shit up for Dad. Then obviously Lehman would be like, well, that little frickin' frat. Ingron was pretty gangster for going down there. Horus just wanted to keep bombing them into oblivion, but Ingron was like, nah. Nah, and Angron was still like, nah, this is for you, big bro. This is for Dad. This is for humanity. Or maybe not Dad anymore, but this is for humanity, man. Hey, I'm gonna get down, boots to the ground for humanity. Sure, Angron, sure. Ah, bah.
For 2 months, the Loyalists held out, under the command of Emperor's children Saul Tarvitz. For his warning had saved them, and his commands had galvanized them.
Okay,
The
y'all do
casualties
that.
on each side were horrific, but more devastating for the traitors. Delayed, lured into ambush after ambush, their numbers began to drop. But betrayed by Lucius, the traitors launched a surprise assault. The now lunar wolves again. Garvior Loken and Tarek Dogadon pushed out, attempting to duel their mournful brothers. The last lunar wolves failed, resulting in the death of Torgadon, as the loyalist elements after months were finally annihilated to the last. Yet their defiance had cost the traitors resources and time. The flight of the Eisenstein. The Imperium would learn of Horus's crimes through the flight of the Eisenstein. Battle Captain Nathaniel Garrow of the Death Guard witnessed the betrayal firsthand, and its warning had been brought to him by his close friend Saul Tarvitz of the Emperor's
What a little
children,
guy.
before the bombs had descended. Garrow was a Terran-born veteran of the Great Crusade. His Primarch Mortarion had hoped to persuade his Terran son to his side, though First Captain Kalas Typhon foresaw the true loyalties of Garrow. Wounded upon Istvaan, Garrow's company was sent to the Eisenstein in orbit. Betrayed, Garrow was forced to fight his fellow commander Ignatius Grugor, sent by Typhon to kill Garrow as a massacre was revealed. Aboard this ship, the loyalist elements emerged victorious, and the Eisenstein made to flee to Terra. However, the ship was seriously crippled by Typhon, and their mission to warn the Imperium was on the brink. During their flight into the
We
war,
literally can't get any
the Loyalist
messages.
Death Guard faced the first Plague Marines, as Grugor and the fallen traitors returned from death within the war. Detonating their warp drives and returning to real space, the Eisenstein would be found, rescued by Rogel Dawn and the Imperial Fists,
Captain
who
America.
almost struck down Garrow for the news they had brought. Ultimately, Dawn was convinced. Shown images of Istvaan III he could not deny by the surviving remembrances, and the words of Euphrates Keeler. The survivors of the Eisenstein joined Dawn to Terra. Devastated by his brother's betrayal, Dawn would bring with him the news of Horus's rebellion. With 70 loyal Death Guards secured in Luna,
Rogel Dorn is like, nah, something's fishy about this Horus guy. Okay, he's thinking with portals now. Let's freaking go. Never trust bald men. Aren't like half of them bald? And there are also half of them who are traitors. But are all the bald ones traitors? We'll never know.
Nathaniel Garrow would become an agent of Malkador the Sigillite, creating the first of the Knights Errant, while Dawn would be declared Lord Commander of the Imperium. A Retribution fleet was being gathered.
Lord Commander.
And Terra would brace itself for the coming war.
Peace Mass.
The Dropsite Massacre. In response to the treachery of the War Master, the Praetorian of Terra ordered the greatest strength of 8 legions to join the Retribution.
Oh, our boys, the Salamanders, the Raven Guard, the Iron Hands are betrayed. Oh no! Wait, our boys are betrayed.
Yet from the very moment these forces gathered their might,
We learned
tragedy
about
struck
this.
again. The Imperial Fists ordered to join the Retribution fleet were delayed. Warp storms making their journey impossible. In tandem, the Primarch Ferrus Manus was visited by his brother Fulgrim, who attempted to sway his closest friend to join the traitor's cause, resulting in the strong.
Dorn nearly killed Garrow when he told Dorn that Horus turned traitor. Yeah, he was like, hey, don't talk shit about Big Bro, who's the War Master. But he saw through it. Shout out Dorn, a real one.
Attempted to sway his closest friend to join the traitor's cause, resulting in the strongest bond of friendship amongst Primarchs being broken. Left wounded and his son scarred, Ferrus Manus requested to personally lead the Retribution fleet, once it had arrived in the Istvaan system, and his wishes were granted. The Iron Hands were first to arrive alongside Corvus Corax and Vulcan, with both bringing the majority of their legion. With the vanguard
Best
assembled,
friends betray
Ferrus
each
Manus
other.
did not wait before bringing his attack. Out of all of the Primarchs, Only Ferrus Manus could match the brilliant generalship of Horus Lupercal. Upon Istvaan V, the traitors had turned the Urgal Depression into their chosen battleground, the Primarch Fulgrim having spent months personally preparing a black stone fortress, one that predated Imperial history. Traitor forces were spread across their defensive zones in great numbers,
Oh my
but the first
goodness.
cracks had already started to form. The Primarch Angron had demanded that the traitors engage the Loyalists in an open battle, giving them the honour of open war without treachery, his words creating a boiling tension with both Horus and Fulgrim. The Loyalist forces had begun their assault, and the skies of Istvaan V bloomed with drop pods. Entire battalions of guard were landed, as Loyalist legions surged forward as the first defensive lines of traitor legions were rushed. Colossal war engines smashed aside fortifications, as dreadnoughts cleared bunkers and legionaries engaged in brutal trench warfare. The Emperor-class Titan Dies Irae was quick to join the battle, its guns annihilating super-heavy tank squadrons of salamanders, as formations of Saturnine Terminators teleported behind enemy lines. The Loyalist assault had been more fierce than predicted, yet their casualties were staggering. On the traitors' line, elements of their own Imperial army were used as cannon fodder,
No,
soaking up the
Salamander!
majority of the damage unleashed by the first wave. Salamander trench raids were counteracted by Death Guard ambushes, and on the right flank the Raven Guard and Sons of Horus fought in brutal close quarters. The 16th Legion were baited by hit-and-run tactics, but they answered the Raven Guard with brutal Chthonian fury, willing to chase down
baited.
their enemy to their own lines. The Iron Hands smashed deep into the center line, Ferrus Manus ripping apart Sons of Horus, and legionaries of the Emperor's children with his bare hands.
Yeah, get him.
The Titans of the Warmaster were pushed back, with a combined firepower of 30 Salamander Land Raiders and Spartans, as the Iron Hands assault was augmented with the relentless firing of basilisks and whirlwinds. The Loyalist Imperial Army heavy landers unleashed fresh companies of Malcadors and Baneblades. The total firepower unleashed within the Urgal Depression was enough to break the morale of even the most hardened human veterans. Such was the cacophony of noise and violence. Men and women who had spent their entire lives fighting in the Great Crusade were paralyzed in terror. Yet after hours the traitor line finally began buckling. The traitor Primarchs joined the fray, Angron and his World Eaters surging forward, emerging from caverns as their charge split the Loyalist lines apart. The Iron Hands and Raven Guard were separated from each other, as
No.
Mortarion began to cut his way through Salamanders,
Don't
seeking out his brother
separate.
Vulcan for a personal
Stay together!
The Titans of Legio Atris were nearly destroyed at the hands of Legio Mortis, as after more hours of fighting, the Raven Guard and Salamander lines began to fall back, preparing to cycle in the second wave. The Iron Warriors, Word Bearers, Alpha Legion and Nightlords deployed to the rear of the Loyalist line, Ferrus and his Iron Hands refusing the withdrawal, for the Gorgon had sighted the Phoenician, and the brothers would have their due. Approaching their reinforcements, the Salamanders and Raven Guard were met with eerie silence, as a second betrayal was revealed. The Loyalists were gunned down at point-blank range by those they believed to be their allies.
Not a
Night
second
Lords dropped from
betrayal!
the sky, bombarding with phosphex, their Raptors assaulting unsuspecting Loyalists. The Alpha Legion infiltrated Apothecarian stations, cutting down the injured and wounded, as the Iron Warriors unleashed the might of their heavy artillery. The forces of the War Master surged again, as Fulgrim beheaded his brother Ferrus Manus.
Oh!
The landing zones were overwhelmed. Warriors were forced to
Besties!
flee or fight to the death, as on the black sands of Istvaan V, Horus had his first victory. Nearly 200,000 Space Marines lay dead. A Primarch was slain, and 2 were missing. The first blow Horus Lupercal had dealt to the Imperium was devastating, as a full half of the Legiones Astartes had turned traitor, and a third of those who remained loyal were now dead. Aided by gods of the war, the corruption of chaos had begun to spread through the traitor ranks, as holding the severed head of his once brother, Horus declared death to the false emperor. The Schism of Mars.
Oh my goodness! I just want to put out there, because it kind of got scooped over, if Angron had just waited and allowed Horus to bombard the planet, they would have won the Civil War. Instead, we got the timeline of the near stalemate ending. Patience is not a virtue of the Primarchs. I don't know who got the Emperor's patience, but it wasn't any of them. Istvaan III killed a third of the traitor legions in their purge, and Istvaan V killed a similar amount of loyalists. Okay, we're evening out, but not in a good way. So, like, Horus turned the death of Ferris into another way to, like, bolster his own agenda against his father? Bro, you just lost your brother, man. The hint is in Angron's name. Is he angry? You think he's a little bit angry?
With the Imperium reeling from the devastating loss suffered at Istvaan III and V, Kelbal Hal, the fabricated general of Mars, aligned himself with Horus and declared Mars' succession from the Imperium.
Mars turned to
Emperor
Horus
as the Omnisire.
Oh my.
The fabricator general, resentful of the Emperor's union of Terra and Mars with the Treaty of Olympus, accepted Horus's gifts. Lost STCs, independence and forbidden tech.
These hoes ain't loyal.
The fabricator began to spread a corrupted scrap code, bringing disaster all across Mars. The elements of the Mechanicum siding with the War Master will become forever known as the Dark Mechanicum, their tech heresies in defiance of the Emperor. Mars was consumed in a violent civil war. One that was
Okay, but also imagine all of these guys being nerds who want to progress knowledge, okay? Imagine all these nerds turning into bad guys because they're like, actually, I don't want to listen to the Emperor because I want to study something new because I'm a little freaking nerd. Thanks, nerds! You're not loyal. You can be loyal or you can be a nerd. Where are the loyal nerds? Show yourself! Can we appreciate the tactical brilliance of Istvaan III that Horus did? Dude eliminates 3 legions in one move and consolidates all his forces in one place all at once. Okay. Kind of banger, you know, if he wasn't effing over the whole family.
See the most malicious weapons of mankind utilized, and even abominable intelligences in the form of the Caliban machine, fighting for supremacy. The Schism of Mars soon spread, with every forge world spread across the Imperium, declaring itself for one cause or another, as the servants of the machine god made war upon each other. The lords of the Red Planet roused their Tagma, hosts of warriors and myriad war machines. Knight households and Titan legios together marched into battle, not united to face an external aggressor, but to make manifest the fury of generations of feud and rivalry, in a frenzy of unbarred destruction. The rebellion spreads. The galaxy is in flames. Brother kills brother. The dream of united mankind is shattered. Warriors who spent decades working towards a unified goal were at each other's throats. This era of civil war would see the shattered legions of Istvaan V engage in guerrilla warfare with bitter hatred. Black Shield warbands rampaging across the galaxy, formed of those forces who had survived the Dropsite massacre. Yet few were truly as sundered as the Iron Hands, Raven Guard and Salamanders. The shattered legions under the command of Shadrach Medusan enacted small lightning campaigns against the traitors. Others, like the crew of the Sisypheum, sought to avenge their fallen brothers, attempting to assassinate traitor Primarchs. The age of the Imperium's greatest heroes would give way to monsters, like Ortek Moore of the Iron Hands, or Endrid Har, a World Eater turned Black Shield, who would stop at nothing but to see their enemies utterly destroyed. Worlds were forced to pick a side, or invoke the wrath of both the Emperor and the War Master. The death at Signis Prime, the War Master's closest brother, Sanguinius, was deemed to be the largest threat. In all, Sanguinius and the Blood Angels constituted one of the greatest threats to the War Master's nascent rebellion. More than a match for any traitor legion, and their loyalty to the Emperor unquestionable. To be openly confronted, traitor losses would leave the rebellion ill-prepared for the assault on Terra, but left unopposed. There could be no attack on the throne world without the Blood Angels striking Horus's exposed flanks. The debate amongst the traitors on how to deal with the Blood Angels was contentious. Mortarion and his Death Guard argued that with their host divided across multiple different war zones, the Blood Angels were easy pickings. Instead, Lorgar convinced the War Master to trap the Blood Angels on Cygnus. The Cygnus Cluster, a frontier colony that held little value to the Imperium. Before the traitor's revelation, Horus promised his brother a cure to the flaw of the Blood Angels. A promise that if the Great Angel could defeat the returned Nephilim Xenos, he would cure his sons. Instead of salvation, the Blood Angels found ambush. The Cygnus Cluster had been prepared to be a conduit, through which demons of Slanesh and Khorne attempted to sway the Primarch to the traitor's side. But the Great Angel rejected
Whoa. What in the Wi-Fi?
the Primarch to the traitor's side. But the Great Angel rejected the warp, beginning the bloodiest battle in the Legion's history. The mortal warriors and ship crew who joined the Blood Angels were paralyzed by fear or driven to warp madness. The Legion's fleet was set upon by corpse ships, operated by demons, their numbers ceaseless. As Sanguinius' flagship, the Red Tier, was crippled and forced to crash land on Signis Prime. The Primarch should have died. His sons burnt up with him as the ship entered the atmosphere at terminal velocity.
Oh.
Instead, Sanguinius bid his ship to save him and his sons, asking the impossible of the vessel's machine spirit. But the Red Tier performed its grim duty, and instead of being the breaking point of the entire Legion, it smashed into Signis Prime, its hull intact and becoming a fortress manifesting the indomitable will of Sanguinius. Most
He's like an
Legions
orc.
would have panicked at the loss of their flagship, yet Archean Hellbearer of the 14th Company steadied the fleet. His defensive-focused tactics would see the Blood Angels vanquish the fleet of corpse ships, with only 10% of their own vessels lost. Before their Lord Sanguinius, every captain and officer present, Captain Amit accused Horus Lupercal of betraying the Legion. The Primarch Sanguinius was furious, attacking his son. A single punch sending the captain into the dirt of Cygnus, his breastplate dented. But only when the other officers spoke out did Sanguinius see the truth. The
No.
weight of his closest brother's dark choice had almost broken Sanguinius. Yet the Legion
He was like, how dare you say that about my bro? I'm gonna freaking mess you up. And then they were like, but dad, he really did betray us. And then he's like, not my best bro. Oh, so much heartbreak.
The weight of his closest brother's dark choice had almost broken Sanguinius. Yet the Legion would make its vow. They would see the Cygnus campaign victorious, and then return to the mat of the War Master's potential treason. The battles continued, as the Cygnus campaign became the ultimate crucible for the Blood Angels. In brutal combat, Sanguinius would face one of Khorne's mightiest, Ka'Bandha, a bloodthirster filled with hatred, enraged at Sanguinius' refusal to join him. The bloodthirster vowed to haunt the Blood Angels and curse them until the end of their days. Sanguinius roaring back, vowing that his sons would be waiting for him. Multiple apocalyptic battles took place, with traitor word-bearers joining the demonic hordes assaulting the Blood Angels. The Great Angel lost his first duel with Ka'Bandha, wounded and defeated, yet ultimately the Blood Angels were victorious,
Okay.
despite being driven to ceaseless rage and thirst. Dueling the Bloodthirster again, Sanguinius was victorious, banishing Ka'Bandha. Yet his legion was on the brink of madness. Kyrus, a keeper of secrets of Slanesh, attempted to trick the Lord of Blood, swaying him into sacrificing himself to become a demonic entity known as the Red Angel. The promise that lured Sanguinius was the sanity of his sons restored. Instead, a single apothecary offered himself in place of his Primarch, and when Sanguinius saw the truth of the deception, he slew Kyrus.
Mm-mm-mm.
51 brutal days of fighting. The dead were in their thousands, but Cygnus had been scoured clean of taint. Its victory was Pyrrhic. The number of the wounded was so many that the Legion saw a dramatic increase in dreadnoughts. But hope remained, as the Red Tier would be recovered. Their Primarch Sanguinius still lived, but as a Legion, the Blood Angels were combat ineffective, and would need time to recover. Displeased to learn the Primarch had survived, the first chaplain of the Word-Bearers was enraged. His plan had failed, but Erebus would make a vital mistake, laying the blame at Horus's feet.
The trap at Cygnus has failed. The Blood Angels should be at our banner.
The Dark Apostle bit out the words.
Sanguinius should be kneeling before you, bathed in blood and broken. Instead, this remnant is all we have to show for our effort. So much had been put into the construction of the cults and the blood fanes. We needed that legion. We would have that legion if you had not intervened.
Horus showed no sign of irritation at the veiled accusation.
No sign of irritation. I'm irritated. Hello? We should have had Sanguinius, and it's all your fault because we don't have him. Hello, Erebus? Who the frick are you? Get out of here! Oh my goodness. Oh. I find it really funny how low-key all the Blood Angel fanboys ignore the part of Sanguinius almost falling to chaos to save his son from the Red Thirst things. I mean, he was looking out, but, you know, we've seen how he's a little bit gullible. All of them. Everybody's just gullible. This is gullible 40k. Erebus is gonna get it? Okay. He's not annoyed.
Horus showed no sign of irritation at the veiled accusation.
You think I was wrong? Please, speak plainly, Erebus. I would have it no other way.
That Erebus took the next step was the clearest indication of how much he had changed since Davin.
You broke the pattern. You disrupted the flow by offering skulls to the bloodthirster, all because you did not wish the angel to stand among us. You did not want a rival in our ranks. The Blood Angels walk the Scarlet Path, but now they will never be ours. The ruinous powers will not be pleased.
The Apostle's brief tirade died away into silence, and no other sound rose beyond it. There came a flash of shock, quickly smothered, as too late Erebus arrived at the understanding that he had overstepped the mark. Horus studied him, examining the dense lines of text tattooed across the Word-Bearer's face and neck.
I admit, I am displeased at this turn of events. Sanguinius's death would have served many purposes, even if my vanity was one of them.
He grinned, at once malicious and self-deprecating. Then his manner turned cold.
But so be it. The angel will face me in battle before our campaign ends. Only one of us will survive.
That could have been avoided.
Erebus offered, attempting to make back the ground he had given up.
Do you think I am a puppet?
Said Horus. He nodded at the Red Angel.
A weapon to be commanded? I think you may. I think you must be reminded of your place in the scheme of things.
Get his ass.
The War Master's hand shot out,
Get his
and
ass.
snatched at the hilt of a dagger sheathed at the Dark Apostle's belt. Erebus gave a gasp, as Horus took his anatheme and turned it in his grip, letting the warp-touch blade catch of the chamber's ill light.
You let the mask slip, Erebus. You showed yourself to me. I saw what you show them.
Horus touched the tip of the dagger on the Apostle's cheek, and he flinched away as it burned. The sons of Horus were suddenly there at his back, blocking his retreat. For a moment, the Word-Bearer's legionaries in the chamber hesitated, hands falling to their weapons, ready to defend their master. but Erebus slowly shook his head, warning them off. He had to realize what was about to come, and that he had no choice but to accept it.
Let me see that face again,
said Horus, cutting a bloody line across Erebus's forehead,
Ooh.
as his warriors took the apostle's arm and held him rigid.
Your true face.
With an artist's care, Warmaster sliced through flesh into meat.
Oof.
Though he gasped and trembled, Erebus did not cry out. Horus took the severed edge between his fingers, and like the turning of a page, he skinned Erebus's face from his blood-smothered head. The word-bearer staggered back, his features a ruin of crimson, stark white eyes glaring out and unable to blink.
The things that whisper in your ear, that you hold in concord with your pacts and your inscriptions, remind them that they are not the architects of this war.
Horus paused, as he considered the bloody rag that was his new trophy.
I am.
The Battle of Phal.
Wow! The woman was too stunned to speak. What? Holy! He ripped his bald head off of his bald head. Oh my god. Well, that's what you get, Erebus. Kick rocks. Deserved. Honestly, deserved. And do it again, Horus. Pop like a bald little balloon.
I am.
The Battle of Phal. From Terra, the Imperial Fists had launched a contingent to join the Retribution fleet and strike at the traitors at Istvaan III, only to be stranded in the Phal system. The turbulence of the warp isolated the Sons of Dawn, as many were lost in the attempt to break out, including its commander, Captain Yonad. Captain Alaxis Pollux took command, and when the storms finally relented, the Iron Warriors arrived. Without any warning or fanfare, the two sides tore into each other, both legions bitter rivals long before the Horus Heresy ever dawned. Intense volleys were traded. Dozens of capital ships were lost, as boarding torpedoes and heavy ordnance filled the void. Hundreds of boarding actions were fought. Early during the Heresy, this battle was seen as insignificant. One
That a
massacre
Space
amongst
Marine?
hundreds
Nope, they're all Space
that made
Marines.
the
Is that
Age
an
of
Ultramarine?
Darkness so infamous. But in truth, this was a battle that could have determined the outcome of the entire Horus Heresy. At Phal, the Iron Warriors could have been broken. Although caught by surprise, the Lord of Iron in his arrogance had underestimated the Imperial Fists. Expecting to find the aggressive First Captain Sigismund, the defensive formation of Alaxis Pollux and the Imperial Fists became a killing ground. Even a bold Imperial Fist boarding action attempted to kill the traitor Primarch, yet as victory was within their grasp, the pragmatic Imperial Fist suddenly fell back, as astropathic orders from Dawn washed over the Armada, calling his sons to make an immediate return to Terra.
Oh.
Captain Alaxis Pollux left his ruined flagship behind, capturing an enemy vessel with which the Imperial Fist used to flee Phal. In the years to come, the potential victory Phal could have brought the Imperium will be a stain on the honor of the Imperial Fists. The boarding party that nearly had reached the Lord of Iron was also the most humbling experience for the Iron Warriors. With Perturabo believing himself superior to Dawn in every way, the Lord of Iron was left to reconcile his near defeat. The Battle of the Alaxis Nebula. With the burning of Prospero still fresh in the minds of the Space Wolves, their strength had been severely depleted, and in their consolidation, the Alpha Legion attacked. The 20th Legion caught the Wolves in an ambush, and at first Leman Russ prepared a personal trap, wanting to confront Alpharius by drawing him into a boarding action, luring him to Russ's flagship, the Hrafnikal. Yet the Primarch of the 20th did not take the bait, and the Wolves were forced to retreat. Requesting the aid of White-Scar forces nearby were rejected, the 5th Legion unsure of the true loyalties in this conflict. Hope dwindled for the Space Wolves, as their fleet was being picked apart. The battle moved the Alaxis Nebula, with the 6th Legion utilizing the nebula to hide their wounded fleet from further Alpha Legion engagements. Bleeding strength in the void, the Wolf King was outmatched by the 20th Legion vessels, and only when encountering a Dark Angel space fort would the tide of battle be turned. The Alpha Legion forced into a retreat, as Leman Russ powered his wounded Legion back to Terra. The Raptor Project. The Dropsite massacre upon Istvaan III had resulted in the Raven Guard losing 75,000 legionaries, a majority of its strength, akin to their fellow shattered legions.
So, the Space Wolves were not traitors anymore? And they were going back to Terra? And then the Alfarius guys were like, no. The Alpha Legion were like, no. F you guys. How'd they turn back?
The Raven Guard would never be a main player in the war raging across the galaxy.
The Raven Guard did not care.
Vulcan was still missing, as Corvus Corax was forced into a 3-month-long guerrilla war on Istvaan V. When he and his surviving sons managed to escape, he ordered his remaining forces to return to Deliverance, whilst the Primarch would journey to Terra. The Raven and his closest son reached the throne world, but yet was not granted a physical...
Oh, they were never official traitors, they just got tricked. Got it. Got it. When did they figure out that they were tricked? Because, like, they were on Horus' side. And then now they're like, no, F you, Horus. Got it.
audience with the Emperor of Mankind, locked away upon the Golden Throne. Still, the Emperor would find a way to help his son. Given psychic instructions, Corax would journey to the laboratory where the Primarchs were created. Here
this
he
is
would
where it
find
happens.
the tools and knowledge with which to restore the Raven Guard, back to full Legion strength in a fraction of the time. Corax and his closest sons traversed back to their homeworld of Deliverance, and immediately began the great work. Using the Emperor's samples, combined with the Primarch Project knowledge, Corax was able to create a superior breed of Astartes, one he coined the Raptors. But before mass production could begin, saboteurs of the Alpha Legion mutated the genetic material, utilizing the taint of chaos itself. The Raptors were quickly transformed
Alpha Legions
into
everywhere, man.
mutated beings. The sabotage was a bitter pill to swallow for the Raven Guard Primarch, but instead of conceding defeat, Corax took his surviving sons and the mutated Raptors into battle. As for the rest of the Horus Heresy, the Raven Guard would not be able to play an active role other than small raids and supply line attacks. The first siege of Hydra Caudatus. Following the Battle of Phal, Perturabo had become distant from his sons. The Iron Warriors as a whole were committed to a campaign of vengeance, as world after world was brutally subjugated. Imperial Fist garrisons where found were savaged. Many captains were eager to win the favour of their lord, now more than ever. As when the Legion arrived at Hydra Caudatus, Siege Captain Valkar vowed to take the Cadmean Citadel within the
Heard.
although some considered Valkar's plan to be unacceptable. Chief amongst them, the Dominators who once served as Perturabo's bodyguards. The Primarch allowed Valkar to prove himself, as the Dominators were ordered to join the assault. Hydra Caudatus was bombarded from orbit, and everything except the Cadmean Citadel destroyed or turned to ash. The Citadel itself would then be stormed, attacked by the 33rd Grand Battalion. But what awaited the Iron Warriors was more than just the Imperial Fists. Elite cohorts of Solar Auxilia were smashed aside, but as the Iron Warriors assaulted the walls, the Citadel itself attacked them. Entire squads were swallowed whole or killed, gravity generators pinning warriors in place to be picked apart by snipers. The technology of the Citadel was ancient and powerful, and inflicted heavy casualties upon the 4th Legion. The assault of Captain Valkar was relentless, as his vanguard smashed the gates of the Citadel, only to be countercharged by Castellax automata and Imperial Fist breaches. Only when the Dominators arrived was the slaughter reversed, their thunderhammers smashing apart Astartes and automata with vicious contempt. Realization struck the Dominators that Valkar's plans would simply not get them all killed, but the entire battalion would be destroyed by his aggressive and reckless tactics.
Oh no.
The Dominators retreated, dragging Valkar before Perturabo for his judgment. The Primarch had the captain executed by his new bodyguards, the Iron Circle automata, and before leaving he ordered the Dominators to return to the front lines. The 4th Legion prepared for a true siege. Artillery and siege works began to slowly tear down the Cadmean citadel. The Lord of Iron remained absent, until a single Iron Warrior managed to scale the impossible walls. A legionary named Kroger was the first to enter, and only now did Perturabo arrive, swiftly breaking the siege with his Iron Circle. The Triarch Hakor was demoted by Perturabo, his own plans to break the citadel having done little to impress him, with the legionary Kroger appointed to take his place. Angel Exterminatis. In the ashes of Hydra Caudatus, Perturabo witnessed the approach of the Emperor's children and his brother Fulgrim, the two Primarchs having not been in each other's presence since the Dropsite massacre. Perturabo became disgruntled at the sight of the 3rd Legion's embrace of the war and their own depravity. The Phoenician Fulgrim had come bearing gifts and intel that somewhere in the warp rift known as the Eye, there was a weapon that could give the traitors the power to finish this war, the Angel Exterminatis. Yet Fulgrim asked Perturabo to build him a grand amphitheater, so that he might enact the play of the Angel Exterminatis. The Thaliacron was built rapidly, becoming a thing of true beauty, born of the imagination of the Lord of Iron. Fulgrim began his elaborate play, enacting the mythology of this weapon, until an assassination attempt was made upon the Phoenician. The Raven Guard Nakona Sharakan put a bolt into the head of Fulgrim, the Primarch slumping to the ground as the theatre erupted in chaos. With the aid of the apothecary Fabius Bile, the Primarch Fulgrim was saved. Though the attempt failed, the Loyalists would escape and proceed to shadow the Iron Warriors and Emperor's children, as the two forces set out to find the Angel Exterminatis. Relations between the two legions quickly soured, fraternization leading to dark indulgences that angered the Lord of Iron. Inviting his brother to his ship, Perturabo humbled his brother, savagely beating him into surrendering operational control.
Humbled.
Though harried by the crew of the Sisypheum, the two legions plunged even deeper within the Eye, their ships finally sighting a lost Eldari crone world. But instead of finding this weapon, Fulgrim attempted to sacrifice his brother Perturabo, so that he could ascend to demonhood, becoming the Angel Exterminatis.
Oh no.
Whilst Fulgrim succeeded in becoming a demon Primarch of Slanesh, Perturabo would survive, though the Lord of Iron's soul was leached from him, still leaking after the events of the Crone World had ended. A permanent rift between the two Primarchs and their legions would mar the events to come. The betrayal at Calth.
Yeah, I would also have a rift
the Warmaster to
if my brother tried to sacrifice me to become a god, a chaos god. Primarch, hello? I'd be mad. And I'd tell all my kids to not play with his kids either. Fun fact, there is still Alpha Legion Space Marines sleeping on Terra in some super secret base waiting for one of two keywords, one to join the Loyalists and another to join the Traitors, but it did not come. So they're just napping? The heck? I want to be them. Put me to sleep, you know what I'm saying? Stop.
Lines with the largest legion within the Imperium.
The blueberries are coming.
The Ultramarines. Without knowing of the ambush he walked into, Primarch Rabute Gilliman was ordered to muster his legion upon Calth. a jewel within the realm of the 500
Roll
worlds
booty!
of Ultramar. Here he would be joined by Lorgar and his word-bearers, to partake in a joint campaign against a rising Orc Empire. Many within the Ultramarines were disgruntled to work with the 17th. However, some, like Guilliman, saw the campaign as an opportunity to mend the rift caused by the burning of Menachia during the Great Crusade. Yet the Legion would walk into a massacre, decades in the making. In orbit, a void ship was rammed into Cal's orbital docks, followed by an all-out attack by the Word-Bearers. On the mustering grounds, Ultramarines and their auxiliary forces were gunned down and butchered. In a mere few hours, thousands of Ultramarines were dead. And to truly cripple the 13th, a scrap code was unleashed into Cal's noosphere, from which the Macrag's honor, the flagship of Rabute Guilliman, false communications became impossible. Guilliman had refused to believe a betrayal so deep, that his brother Lorgar had turned his back upon him and the Imperium. The Primarch expected some form of mistake, but Lorgar's intent was inexcusable. Despite the initial devastation, Ultramarine survivors began to fight back. Scattered, leaderless, the 13th Legion offered the best resistance it could muster in the wake of such devastation. Attacked personally, Guilliman was sucked into the vacuum of space, when the bridge of his ship was annihilated. Yet the Primarch would survive, drawing on reserves of hatred to bring him back into the ship.
He's surviving on spite!
Passed, more Ultramarines were able to regroup. Through the hard work of both Remus Ventinus and Magos Tarwen, the scrap code would be rebuffed, with uninfected data engines restoring the noosphere. Back within the confines of his ship, Guilliman would attempt to regain control of the Void battle by challenging Corferon, captain of the 17th Elite and Lorgar's adopted father. Ultimately, the Tracers would fail to destroy the Ultramarines Legion, but in its wake, Calth's sun would be destroyed, forever dooming the planet to an irradiated nightmare. More than 100,000 Ultramarines were dead.
100,000!
The fleet of the Legion was in disarray, and the Macrag's honor was missing. Yet the Ultramarines had survived, almost completely blind to the true storm raging across the galaxy. It was in the ashes of Calth that a deep hatred was born in the heart of the 13th. Their homeworld in Macrag was also in the sights of the 17th, as the Word-Bearers launched the Furious Abyss, a Gloriana-class ship bent on the destruction of the very homeworld of Rabute Guilliman. And only with the unlikeliest alliances of Space Wolves, Ultramarines, World Eaters and Thousand Sun loyalists, was the vessel destroyed before its dark act could play out. The Shadow Crusade.
RIP. RIP. A lot of the loyalists at the time were scattered around on purpose by Horus, so even when the heresy was in full swing, many didn't know what was happening. Again, because they didn't have cell phones. If there was a group chat, hello? Okay, imagine the Primarch group chat with the Emperor. Obviously, there will be secondary group chats, but like go back to the main group chat with everyone in it and be like, hey, Dad, is this true? Real or not real? And then he can be like, I don't know what you're freaking talking about. Crazies, that's not real. Somebody give me the group chat of the Primarchs, please. Thank you. Ultramarines had close to 300,000 Marines when the heresy broke out, and others were capped at 100,000. Lots of blueberries in that farm. My favorite part of Guilliman being blown out of space without his helm is him not even attempting to get back inside, but rather killing any word bearers he found. Me, honestly, if I was like, so you're telling me my brother freaking betrayed my other brothers and people are killing themselves and everyone being so stupid? Give me a word bearer. Give him to me. If the Ultramarines were involved in the heresy, there would be no heresy. Ooh. Nyaho. The Shadow Crusade.
Calth would be only the first battle in the slaughter known as the Shadow Crusade. The Word-Bearers were joined by the World Eaters, following the Istvaan atrocities. And together these traitor forces would burn Ultramar. Every world encountered to be slaughtered.
Whose head's that?
Every loyalist force or garrison, crushed brutally. The joint traitor force began to swarm the 500 worlds of Ultramar. Vital recruiting worlds were lost. Mechanicum Forge worlds and other planets of great value razed, and the Ultramarines, still reeling from the devastation suffered at Calth, were powerless to halt the advance. With each world lost, it played a part in a grander design in the mind of Lorgar Aurelian. "Do you hear it?" Lorgar asked, wrapped in distraction. "Do you?" Magnus watched the first killing beams illuminating the Conqueror's void shields, the impact spreading with the greasy luminescence of oil on water. He sensed something, as the fleet powered to its inevitable demise, a sensation not unlike the world itself holding its breath. The way Tuska's air was charged before a storm. The word-bearer tilted his head back, eyes closed as he let the flashing colours of the Conqueror's shields dapple his face. Calv has a syncopated backbeat to the song, the rhythm beneath the rhyme. That much fire, that much misery, that much pain. He smiled, his eyes still closed. Suffering has always fueled the warp in random stains and stigmata. Now we learn the virtue of control. Can you hear it? Can you hear the pain stirring the tides? Can you hear the crash of those waves, Magnus? Can you hear how those black tides beat? A million hearts bursting out loud, as rhythmic as drums in the deep cold. He lifted his hands higher, gesturing with subtle relish, directing his invisible choir. The tides of the sea of the souls can be altered by mortal hands, brother. Listen, listen. We're reordering the warp itself, Magnus. Changing it through pain. We're rewriting the song. Lorgar drew in a shivery breath as he continued. There, a ship burns in Latona's atmosphere. The cries of the doomed souls echoing into the Inferium.
Yeah, I hear the clipping.
A warship plows into the surface of Ulixis, digging its own grave.
That's
taking
not me, guys.
100,000 souls shrieking into the afterlife. Do you hear them dying, Magnus? Do you hear the song shifting in time to their extinguished essences? He was laughing now,
Singing the
raising a
song
hand
of
to the heaven,
angry men.
weeping as he whispered, "Every life, every death, every cry of pain across these burning worlds thins the veil between reality and the first realm. Call it Hades or Hell, Yehenam, Nakar, or the underworld. Call it the war. Call it whatever you will. But I am bringing it forth onto the material plane. Calth was the genesis of the storm, Magnus. I will make an entire subsector suffer enough that the curtain falls and the 500 world drown in the warp." He turned at last, eyes aflame with psychic fervor. "Tell me you feel it.
No.
Tell me you can hear the million demons shrieking and baying, desperate to be
tell you
born upon
shit
these
about
burning
shit.
worlds." Magnus felt it,
Oh, he felt
as
it.
real
Never
as the
mind.
wind he'd never feel again against his flesh. A pulling, a tightening
A pulling.
of the weave behind the physical universe. Far from the impassioned sensation his brother had described, the sorcerer felt it with clinical distraction. No different
Clinical?
from an equation written on
That's me.
parchment and begging to be solved. Lorgar, in his madness, was doing more than breaking the natural order. He was rewriting the code of the universe. The destruction of Armatura would only serve as the beginning of the end. For the arsenal of the Ultramarines would find only fire and death. The dockyards of Armatura, once housing the great fleets of Ultramar, were set upon. 1 billion human warriors formed as defensive forces, not counting the several thousand Evocati and Astartes neophytes. The traitor armada that gathered could have destroyed almost any world in the Imperium, but not Armatura. Lorgar would not have destruction, but slaughter. He would have his song. Summoning the twin sisters of the furious abyss, the Trisalgion and the Blessed Lady, Armatura descended into a bloodbath, with roaming bands of world eaters butchering all in their path, and chanting choirs of word-bearers slaughtering and capturing subjects for dark rituals. The Ruin Storm, the method through which the traitor legion sought to divide and conquer the Imperium, and the task fell to its architects, the Word-bearers. For decades, the 17th Legion had prepared for the Horus Heresy, determined to fulfill the will of the Dark Gods. Calth was the birth of the storm, and the Shadow Crusade would grow it to the boundaries of all of Ultramar. But to truly complete the Ruin Storm, there had to be sacrifice. During the slaughter of the Shadow Crusade, the Primarch Lorgar learned that his brother Angron was dying, the Butcher's nails slowly killing him. In an effort to both save his brother and complete the ritual for the Ruin Storm, Lorgar Aurelian convinced Angron to travel to his homeworld. On New Syria, Angron mourned the loss of the Eaters of Cities, the gladiator slaves of his youth, his brothers and sisters by bond, taking their skulls with him as he visited the court of the very people who once enslaved a Primarch. Here, Angron found not a house of vile Thalkir, but a boy. A court filled with the terrified descendants of his masters, all pathetic and cowering before him. The Red Angel demanded a retelling of history, of the rebellion that had wounded the High Riders, but the retelling brought the Primarch to furious silence. Angron the coward. Angron the gladiator who had fled and died. A lie. A lie that brought the doom of New Syria, as Angron ordered the slaughter of the entire world. One by one, the World Eaters and Word-bearers destroyed each city, raising every sign of life, until the Retribution fleet of Ultramarines arrived in the sky. Rabute Gilliman had little interest in stopping anyone from destroying New Syria, for the Primarch of the Ultramarines was here for vengeance, for Calth, Armatura, and all of Ultramar. The traitors waited in ambush, until unleashing themselves upon the warriors in battle-scarred blue, surprised to find returning fury and equal. The Primarchs Lorgar and Angron met the eyes full of hatred, as Rabute Gilliman lunged at them, engaging in
2-on-1?
But at the moment of Gilliman's defeat at the hands of Angron, Lorgar would both betray and save his brother, as Angron the Red Angel slowly began transforming into a demon Primarch of Khorne. With a blood slaughter of New Syria, and the rage of being unable to kill Gilliman, two ingredients that served Lorgar's plan perfectly. A towering monster in crimson red emerged, screaming a haunted cry, as Angron's transformation would herald the Ruin Storm, and the sealing of Ultramar from Terra's light. The Chondak's engagement and journey to Prospero. After the victory at Ullanor, the White Scars were dispatched to the Chondak system.
Okay,
to purge it of the
Khan is here.
The Orc Empire. Primarch Jagatai Khan and his legion did their duty, but as the Horus Heresy began, they were faced with an Alpha Legion blockade, keeping the Legion's ship locked within Chondax. For 5 long years the White Scars had battled the Orcs, but as the Horus Heresy dawned on the other side of the Imperium, the Legion were faced with Alpha Legion sabotage.
Wait, they didn't know for 5 years?
Predictions. The effects of the Horus Heresy were not felt at first, until 006 M31, when the Alpha Legion allowed 2 competing signals of the War Master and Dawn to reach their ships. Unable to decipher the truth, the Primarch Jagatai Khan ploughed through the Alpha Legion blockade, as the Legion sought the truth themselves. The Primarch Leman Rust requested aid against Alpha Legion's ships attacking the Space Wolves, but Jagatai Khan, unsure of whose side to choose, left the 6th Legion at the mercy of the 20th. The 5th Legion travelled to Prospero, seeking to find their answers there. Walking through the devastation of dead Prospero, at first convinced the Scars that the Space Wolves were the true enemy, but after speaking with a shard of broken Magnus, the Khan learned of the truth of Horus's betrayal. In orbit, the warrior lodge within the White Scars Legion rebelled, attempting to force the Legion and his Primarch to side with Horus. But after coming face to face
No
with their
signal
lord,
for the White
they
Scar.
were shown the errors of their ways, enlightened to the deception of Horus. Upon the surface of Prospero, Mortarion and his Death Guard had approached the Khan, seeking a third alliance, siding with the War Master yet against the war and this chaos.
That doesn't make
Yet the
sense.
Khan rejected it, calling out Mortarion for the fool he was.
Freaking
The
fool.
Primarchs dueled, yet neither was victorious. Choosing the Imperium reluctantly, the White Scars sided with the Emperor, beginning a guerrilla campaign against the traitors in the years to come.
Loyal.
The Thramas Crusade. In the eastern fringes of the Imperium sat valuable resources. Starting at Thramas, these regions of the Imperium could feed Horus with soldiers, munitions and other materials. Resources the War Master needed more than ever. And to best extract these resources, and engage with the Dark Angels sent on Horus's orders, the War Master ordered his brother Conrad Kurz and his Night Lords to Thramas. The Night Lords began a campaign of terror, assaulting and securing 3 key forge walls at its heart. Yet Loyalist forces gave a stubborn defense, but were quickly overwhelmed. Yet Thramas would be overshadowed by the even greater Legion conflict, as the war that was raged here would finally see Lionel Johnson join the civil war.
The Lion.
Imperium. Though kept in the dark from the wider actions of the traitors, brutal engagements began between the 1st and 8th Legion. The Dark Angels would chase and fight the Night Lords, not just within the Thramas sector, but all across the eastern fringe. Forced to unleash the deadliest weapons of the First Legion's arsenal, the Dark Angels were able to secure early victories, even unleashing the dread battle automata, machines rumored to be some of the last men of iron in the galaxy. However, the Thramas Crusade quickly turned into a stalemate. Where the Dark Angels secured victories, the Night Lords would exploit gaps in their lines. Thramas would remain undecided for 3 years, until upon Sogwalsa, the Primarch spoke for the first time since the Heresy's dawn. The brothers' words quickly descending into a duel. Brother fought brother, rolling in the dirt, as Kurz almost took the first Primarch's life. Ultimately, the Thramas Crusade would see 10,000 Dark Angels lose their lives, yet estimates say 6 times the number of Night Lords' casualties. The
6
perfect
times?
fortress. The embodiment of every ideal of Fulgrim and his legion. A fortress so magnificent that during the Horus Heresy, there was no army in the Imperium that could break it. With an act born out of spite, and a reminder that the Raven Guard would not let the Dropsite massacre be the end of their story, the Raven Guard and their Primarch Corvus Corax descended. The Therian Cohort, an Imperial army regiment that served at the Raven Guard's side on Istvaan, would lead a frontal assault against the perfect fortress. Loyal soldiers sold their lives dearly, giving a chance for the Raven Guard to infiltrate. The plans almost fell to disaster, for unknown was the fortress's hidden defenses, almost annihilating Corvus Corax's assault as soon as it would have started. Defenses the Primarch was wholly unaware. Centurion Kedron led his company of Deliverer Terminators, learning the truth of the fortress and enacting a bold teleport strike. The Deliverers fought their way through the Emperor's children, their casualties brutal in this ferocious conflict, but ultimately their assault was successful, saving their brother's and Primarch's life, as the Raven Guard achieved the impossible and captured the perfect fortress. The insult to the 3rd Legion was dealt, but the Deliverers and Theron's cohort sacrifices would go unthanked, for the Raven Lord's humours had been dark, following the devastation of his legion at Istvaan III, and deliverance. Escaping the Nightfall.
Okay,
The Night Lords
Vulcan.
occupied with brutalizing
Get in
Thramas
there.
and haunting the Dark Angel's forces. A Primarch fell victim to the Night Haunter. Following the Dropsite massacre upon Istvaan V, the Primarch Vulcan was captured by Kurz, tortured and killed thousands of times. But after each death, Vulcan would regenerate,
Vulcan lives.
revealing his gift of a perpetual nature, and the constant resurrection of the Lord of Drake's enraged Kurz. When the Night Haunter realized he could not break the body of Vulcan, he opted to break his mind.
You
His
can't
goal
break
to make
nothing.
Vulcan see that the two Primarchs were the same, both monsters in their own right. Vulcan was ensnared by Davinite priests, made to navigate a maze designed by Perturabo, in hopes of finding his hammer Dawnbringer and the personal teleporter within. And when Vulcan retrieved his weapon, he reminded his twisted brother that it was not just a teleporter. It was also a hammer.
It was also a
Three
hammer,
blows
you
smashed the
freaking
body of
nerd!
Horus, grinding him into a bloody pulp.
Get his ass!
Yet the Lord of Drakes was unwilling to kill a brother.
Oh.
Using the hammer's inbuilt teleporter, Vulcan escaped the Nightfall, with Dawnbringer teleporting him into the upper atmosphere of Macragge. The body of Vulcan soared through the atmosphere, crashing into Ultramar's capital surface. It's only a raving
Nyaho,
madman
Rabute, I'm home.
for the Ultramarines to find. The doom of Moloch. Worlds have burned.
Got his
Millions
freaking
have fallen in the
ass.
ashes of Horus's ambitions, but Moloch would mark the turning point of the Horus Heresy. Greater battles had come before Moloch, and would continue after, but what the Warmaster found upon this world would change his fate forever. By all accounts, the world of Moloch was a footnote on the map of the Imperium, a world claimed by the Master of Mankind himself, alongside the Primarchs the Lion, Horus, Fulgrim, and Jagatai Khan, decades before.
When
In
we
the
were all a
aftermath of
family.
Moloch's conquest, it appeared that the Emperor would erase all memory of the events surrounding it from the Primarch's present,
Oh.
an indicator for Horus's suspicions during his rebellion.
Oh no.
For such an insignificant world, Moloch fronted a formidable garrison force. Hundreds of Imperial army regiments, companies from both the Blood Angels and Ultramarines, Titans hailing from 3 different legios. Moloch was also a night world, bearing multiple mighty houses. The planet would prove an insurmountable challenge for any force attempting to take it. Yet the Warmaster was determined to uncover the secrets of this world, and brought with him his own legion alongside Mortarian's Death Guard. The traitors made quick mockery of Moloch's fleet and orbital defenses, allowing them to make planetfall quickly. Yet Horus knew he had to retrace the steps he had taken upon Moloch decades before, and he began his conquest by walking the Fulgurine Path, a trail of legend, one once walked by the Master of Mankind. On the island of Damasek, Horus faced his first challenge, as his forces were bombarded by army regiments and the Knights of House Davin. Their leader, Lord Ravian Davin, came close to slaying the Warmaster, were it not for the intervention of the Legion's possessed Marines. The Warmaster's personal Spartan assault tank destroyed, and all Justerin within dead, Horus had become enraged. Worldbreaker would smash apart Knights in Horus's path, cleaving their legs from under them, as they fought a being faster than their eyes could believe. The wrath of the Sons of Horus at seeing their Primarch nearly fall would see the battle to be short-lived. Entire companies of super heavy tanks destroyed all that stood in their path, as the elite Justerian and Abaddon reformed the spear tip around the Warmaster. Lord Ravian would escape the slaughter, yet both his sons would fall during the battle.
Rip.
Legio Mortis, Volcanum, Vulpa and Indefector would lead the next charge, where traitor legios traded blows with their loyalist counterparts. Ultimately, the loyalist forces were broken, and panic would reign in the civilian population of Moloch. The Warmaster Horus Lupercal advanced into the city of Lupercalia, a city once named for their savior, now their destroyer. As elsewhere on Moloch, Mortarion began his war. The Death Guard began their assault in the impenetrable Kush jungle, relying on dark sorcery and the Life Eater virus, before squashing the Preceptor line in House Donar. The central zone of Lupercalia became the last of the Loyalist defense, as Lord General Tanya Kurian gathered all remaining forces still on Moloch. With the presence of Titans of 3 different legios, it is more than enough to raise the morale of the defenders, bolstered with the enormous Imperator Titan, Paragon of Terror. Once again, Horus launched his forces, sending in waves of traitor Imperial army, using them to soak up as much damage as possible as soon after they were joined by the legions. The greatest defense of Lupercalia, the Iron Fist Mountain would be destroyed from orbit, when the traitors flung Moloch's once orbital defense station into its core.
Ooh.
The Paragon of Terror fell, when the Knights of House Davin fell to the temptations of Slaanesh, visited by the demon Primarch Fulgrim in their dreams, and convinced to betray the Imperium.
Not
The Loyalist
again.
defenders were slowly being ripped apart, gaps in their lines exploited by full-scale assaults, or the combined forces of the Death Guard and the Sons of Horus.
Stop listening to
With
this
Lupercalia
guy.
broken, Horus found what he was looking for. Deep beneath Lupercalia was a gate of dark stone. As the War Master and his forces entered within its cavern, the perpetual Olivia Surica was attempting to close a warp gate, and the few surviving Ultramarines sold their lives in hopes of her succeeding.
Oh.
Yet it was too late,
Oh.
as Horus impaled Surica and tossed her form aside, entering into the gate of chaos. To the sons of Horus and Death Guard present, Horus was gone but a moment. Yet when the War Master returned, he had transformed. To them, Horus Lupercal looked older. Grey stubble formed upon his face, and his eyes contained a fire that could burn the galaxy, and the fatigue of a man spent millennia at war. Horus stood taller and fuller, as though the portal and what lay beyond had made Horus truly a being befitting of the title War Master. In truth, Horus Lupercal had finally embraced chaos, no
Oh,
longer
no.
a tool, but the truth of the galaxy. His sons knelt before him, and even his brother Mortarion was inclined to do so.
No.
While the sons of Horus fought upon the world's surface, the Knights Errant of Malcador infiltrated the vengeful spirit. Informed of the infiltration, Horus dispatched one of the Mournival to deal with them. Yet the War Master did not want to see these saboteurs dead, for among them were 3 of Horus's sons, Iacton Cruz, Severin, and Garviel Loken. The Knights Errant poured deeper through the vessel, marking the vengeful spirit with runes and beacons, resources for the Space Wolves, to surgically strike the ship in hopes of killing Horus later. A survivor of Istvaan III, Garviel Loken felt the weight of the war surge in his mind, his body seizing up during combat. The Knights Errant fell into an ambush, with some of their number killed but most captured. The Knights Errant had little love for their captors, but to the 3 sons of Horus, the matter was personal, as they were brought before the Ascendant War Master. The previous sons of Horus were horrified at the transformation of their once beloved lord.
Okay,
In armor as
it's
black as
clicking.
his soul, the War Master of Chaos spoke, offering a place to his favored son, Garviel Loken. The Lunar Wolf felt the temptation, until a fight broke out between the Knights Errant and the Sons of Horus. Tragedy would strike for Loken, when Horus killed Iacton. Iacton Cruz, the half-herd, was amongst the oldest veterans of the Great Crusade, a warrior of dignity, honor, and absolute loyalty. Yet both his hearts pulsed their last on the talons of Horus. The battle froze, all still for the momentous occasion of Iacton's death. Holding the body of his friend, and Iacton's oath of moment in his hand, the War Master offered Loken another chance. Lifting his head, Loken met his father's gaze.
I guarantee that before the sun sets on this war, even if you win, even if I die here, you will rue the day you ever turned your back on the Emperor. For every planet you take, the Imperium will exact a fearful tally of Chthonian blood. I guarantee that even if you conquer Terra, the fruits of your victory will taste like dust in your mouth. I
Damn.
guarantee that if you don't kill me today, you'll meet me again. I will stand against you at every outpost, every wall, and every gate. I will fight you with every sword at my command, with every bolter and every fist. I will fight you with bare hands. I will fight you with the very rocks of the world you seek to conquer. I will never give up until the sons of Horus are dead and no more than a bad memory.
Now that's
I was never
romantic.
a son of Horus. I was and remain a lunar wolf. A proud son of Chthoniya, a loyal servant of the Emperor, beloved by all. I am your enemy.
The throne room's blast shields were detonated, sucking the knights-errant into space. And in the
No.
hull of their own ship, powering them back to Terra. Holding his friend's Oath of Moment in his hand, Garviel Loken vowed to battle Horus to the end. The T'Chulcha engine.
He lost
Ancient
his
and
way.
powerful relics are numerous across the galaxy, but the weapons unleashed so far by the First Legion during the Thramas Crusade had only caused destruction with no decisive victory. Within the Perditis system, Primarch Lionel Johnson and his Dark Angels encountered forces of the Iron Hands, engaging with First Captain Kalos Typhon of the Death Guard. Unsure of the true loyalties of each legion, the Lion called a parley, finding the truth of the artifact each fought over. Upon Perditis, the Dark Angels found the ancient T'Chulcha engine, a relic from the technology of the Old Ones. The sentient warp device could be used to traverse the galaxy at great speed. Possessing the corpse of a young boy, the device spoke to the Lion, and the Primarch seized it for his own fleet. It gave the Dark Angels the speed and suddenness with which they could break the Night Lord's ambushes. It would be at Shale 9 that the T'Chulcha engine was used in the most decisive battle of the Thramas Crusade. The sudden appearance of the First Legion's capital ships was a shock for the 8th, as they were outnumbered and outgunned. Quickly overwhelmed, the Night Lord's legion was shattered, the battle only lasting 2 hours.
Dang.
With 25% of the 8th's forces destroyed, the Lion would once again engage his bitter rival, for the Night Haunter had been victorious in their first duel. Yet the second was a decisive victory for the Lion, with Conrad Kurz being mortally wounded, his son shattered, and his first captain Sevatar forced to take command. In the aftermath, the Night Lords began to regroup around their dying Primarch, with Sevatar considering the Thramas Crusade to be at an end. The Legion had delayed the Dark Angels long enough. First Captain Sevatar ordered the Cryptera to take part of the Legion and form warbands, with which to better harry the Loyalist forces. But before the Night Lords could truly scatter, the Dark Angels were once again upon them, the T'Chulcha engine aiding in the Dark Angels' pursuit. This second battle would see the near destruction of the Gloriana-class Nightfall, and a third duel between the recovered Night Haunter and the Lion. The 8th's elite Atramentar joined their Primarch,
Get him, get him, get him.
in boarding the capital ship the Invincible Reason. The Primarch Conrad Kurz launched himself upon his brother, but overstretched and outmatched, the clash resulted in another victory for the Dark Angels. The 8th Legion was truly scattered, their casualties heavy and their leadership broken. The Atramentar all dead or captured, alongside their first captain Sevatar. Yet the Primarch Conrad Kurz retreated to the lower decks of the Invincible Reason, avoiding capture and haunting all who pursued him. The Lion found the Thramas Crusade a bitter war, considering it neither a victory nor a defeat, but ready to finally join the wider war spreading across the galaxy. Using the T'Chulcha engine, the Dark Angels' fleet powered into the war, drawn towards a beacon now emanating from Ultramar. Fearing and distrusting the Primarch Rabute Gilliman's ambitions, long before the Horus Heresy's dawn, the Lion and the First Legion headed towards the capital of Ultramar.
Wait,
to
they
discover
didn't
the
trust
truth for
Robuti?
themselves. The rise of Ultramar. With the ruined storm now dividing the galaxy, many Imperial forces were left scattered or isolated. Many worlds had attempted to become bastions, trying to unite Loyalist resistance, with perhaps the most important of these being Macragge, the capital within the realm of Ultramar. The 500 worlds had been mauled by the Shadow Crusade, with the Ultramarines having lost half of their warriors upon Calth. and more dead upon Nuceria. The Primarch Robute Guilliman started to prepare for the worst, transforming his realm into one of the few safe havens of the Loyalists. Forces from across various legions began to gather, following the light of the Pharos beacon within the war. Elements from shattered legions of Istvaan III, and even Alexis Pollux and his Imperial fists amongst the survivors, drawn to Macrag's safety. From the warp, a legion-sized fleet appeared in the skies, and to a crowd of cheering millions, the Dark Angels and Lionel Johnson arrived. A lion's in their left hand, the executioner's blade in their right. Imperium Secundus. Absent of Terra's light, the Primarch Robute Guilliman had made the decision to create a new founding, Imperium Secundus.
Ooh.
If the Emperor was dead, the Imperium needed the continuation of its ideals. If
I'm not
Terra
sleeping,
had
I'm
fallen,
freaking
the
in it.
Macragge must rise.
I'm
Guilliman
zoning
refused
in.
to let everything he and his brothers had built come undone at the hands of Horus. During the Primarch's meeting, there was tension. Guilliman and the Lion had never seen eye to eye, but having to come face to face with the fact they may be the very last Loyalist Primarchs in the galaxy forced their cooperation. For Vulcan lay screaming within a glass chamber deep within Macragge, his continual torture at the hands of Conrad Kurz and numerous deaths having driven him insane. During the celebrations of the Dark Angel's arrival, Guilliman and the Lion banqueted with their legions and nobles.
Okay,
of
they're
Macragge,
partying.
when sabotage from Conrad Kurz aboard the Invincible Reason launched a drop pod assault, rocketing down towards the capital. The unsanctioned
Letter
First
zone.
Legion assault upon Macragge almost drove the Primarchs.
I
to
think
war.
everyone's betraying each other
Before the
and nobody
blows
loves
could
each
land,
other.
The Lion convinced the infuriated Guilliman not to strike back, convincing his brother of this genuine mistake. The two brothers drew their weapons and began their hunt of their brother Conrad Kurz, now rampaging across the capital, almost slaughtering the loyalist Iron Warrior Barabbas Stantiok and Alexis Pollux of the Imperial Fists. The former saved his friend using the Pharos device. In the now empty chamber upon Macragge, Guilliman and the Lion dueled their mad brother, taking wounds as Kurz fled deeper into the city. Saving Guilliman's adopted mother, the mad Vulcan escaped his confinement, dueling
just
Kurz until killed by a
playing
shard
tag.
of Fulbright, at the hands of the agent of the Xenos Cabal, John Grammaticus. With a brother dead at their feet, Kurz scattering into the Illyrian district of Macragge, a new fleet arrived above the world. Hailing from the Cygnus cluster, the fleet of Sanguinius and his Blood Angels arrived.
Imperium Secundus represents continuity.
Guilliman said.
Since Calth, it has been all I can do to hold the fractured parts of the 500 worlds together. Ultramar is all that we know we have. If the Imperium endures, then we will rejoin it when the storm dies. But if it has not endured elsewhere, then we have preserved it here.
Guilliman had sat in the seat marked with the cobalt blue banner of his legion. Likewise, the Lion had placed himself in the seat covered by the Dark Angel's proud flag. Sanguinius had chosen to remain standing. He paced, troubled but thoughtful.
Robute has made this argument to me at length.
His
And
voice
though
deep.
I have been troubled by some of its details, I find myself seeing the value of it more and more.
How so?
Asked the angelic lord. The Lion sat back, his hands flat upon the edge of the table.
The events of last night alone
He said in a quiet tone.
have made me value life and kinship more than ever.
Oh.
We have lost another brother, and Macragge. Great heartstones of the 5 worlds was almost brought low by the deeds and machinations of just one demented traitor. I have witnessed the venom of our enemy, and I have seen the sad fragility of those assets and lives that remain to us. Robute and I do not think alike on many subjects. We disagree,
No, I hate his ass.
but we also stand together.
But we're loyal. Yup.
We fight for
Called
the
it.
Imperium, And this is all of the Imperium that we have.
But, Regent,
Sanguinius said.
that smacks of usurpation.
It smacks of necessity.
Hey, that
If
smacks!
Terra and our father have gone, then so has Malkador. We must rally our shattered strength before it is too late. Neither the Lion nor I can stomach the other assuming the role, but we are unanimous when the choice is you.
You
Oh.
always were.
Oh! Oh! Ooh! Okay. We're getting freaking Lion and Robooty. Can't stand each other, but they're loyal. Hey, you know what? The bar's low. They're loyal. We keep them. They're like, hey, if Dad and Uncle Malky are out of the picture, we need someone to rule. And it's not going to be me, because no. And it's not going to be him, because I hate his ass. It's going to be you, Sanguinius, our little angel. There you go. I just translated that for all of you. Hello. Welcome in.
Most like our father.
Said the lion. Sanguinius looked up at the light of the storm, spilling through the chamber's high windows.
Let me say, brother, you showed no great delight in being delivered from the storm and reunited with us. You seem troubled and burdened. That tear marked beneath your eye, is that a new notation of your anguish?
We have all seen troubles. Brothers fight and fall, and the stars die. Demons
stars
walk
die.
abroad. I fear that old night steals in upon us anew. I would rage against that.
Then make your stand here, for now.
Said Guilliman. He stood up.
Take this oath of moment, and I will make a pledge. The first moment the storm abates, the first moment we see the light of Terra, or hear word that she still stands, I will light my ship drives, and with all measure of my forces, guide your legion back to the homeworld. There will be no delay or argument. We do not build a second empire here. We maintain the original, founded anew on this globe as circumstance demands.
You would make this pledge to me,
With all solemnity.
and you will back this?
With my blood.
Sanguinius took a deep breath.
Then it is down to us. We three decide.
There is only us.
Said the lion, rising to his feet.
Tell us, Sanguinius, which seat will you take at this table?
The 6 great horns of the ancient battle king sounded across the storm-lit
Ba-bum,
civitates in
ba-bum.
unison. The
That's what it sounds
streets
like.
were full. Cheering crowds filled every via and avenue, and processions of legiones astartes, army,
And then they break out
Mechanicum
into
and
song.
parasital forces converged from their various barracks and fortresses on the broad spread of the Marshal Square. Guilliman took the salute of his roaring crowds on the platform of the properly Titanicus. He turned to the lion at his side.
This we do?
Brotherhood.
He asked. The lion nodded.
This we do, for it is right.
He said. Guilliman stepped to the side of his brother Sanguinius. He grasped his right wrist and raised his hand to the sky in triumph. Sanguinius raised his head and looked out over the cheering sea of faces and punching fists. He allowed his hand to be thrust aloft. He spread his mighty wings in a salute, like the sign of the Aquila. At the top of his voice, Guilliman declared the regency, but the noise of the crowd was too great for words to be heard. With Sanguinius as their emperor-regent, the lion their military commander, and Guilliman their governor, Imperium
Brotherhood.
Secundus was born. The journey to Nocturne. The death of Vulcan was a bitter pill to swallow for the Loyalists. To the triumvirate of Imperium Secundus, they had lost a brother. Perhaps
No.
one of the few Loyalist Primarchs in the
Vulcan's
entire
not
galaxy.
lost.
For the surviving Salamanders who had made their way towards Macragge. The repeating cycle of losing their father was a cruel tragedy, pushing them
Vulcan's
to their
fine.
limits. Vulcan's corpse would be placed into a stasis capsule, handcrafted by his brother Rabute Gilliman.
Thank you, booty.
Inscribed upon it the words Unbound Flame. Macrack had settled into a tenuous peace, and it was deemed safe enough to bring Vulcan's corpse to Nocturne, with the former Equerry Artelius Numian leading this expedition. As Equerry, Numian had a close bond with his father. The last time he had seen his Primarch was during the Dropsite massacre, reuniting and only to find their Primarch dead.
Vulcan is a perpetual, not an instantaneous, okay? He'll get there.
Caused unbearable grief. Launching into the void, the journey to Nocturne was perilous. Demons of the Ruinstorm, Wordbearers and even Death Guard would challenge Numian's expedition. Even a shard of the broken Magnus asked Numian what he'll be willing to sacrifice to resurrect Vulcan. The Death Guard who pursued the Salamanders would go even as far to attack Nocturne itself. Yet the Battle of the Salamanders' homeworld would prove disastrous for the 14th, as the Salamanders fought with the same resilience as they did upon Istvaan, now advantaged by the environment of Nocturne itself. Unfamiliar with the volcanic nature or the dangerous wildlife, the Death Guard began to lose warriors, almost more to the fauna and flora of Nocturne, without the Salamanders having fired a single shot. The Death Guard were quickly routed from Nocturne, allowing the surviving legionaries the opportunity to mourn their lord. The grief weighed heavy upon Numian, and when the Legion cremated their Primarch at Mount Deathfire,
Cremated!
Artellus Numian would disappear. The son of Vulcan could not process his grief. Numian refused, declaring that Vulcan lived, and he knew what to do. A handful of Numian's closest brothers began searching for him, patrolling Mount Deathfire itself. But instead of finding their battle brother, they found a figure standing tall, the fulgurite removed from his chest, and reborn in the fire of Mount Deathfire itself. Vulcan lived.
Yeah, baby!
The Battle of Talon. Following the events of the Angel Exterminatis, Perturabo and the main strength of the Iron Warriors had been struggling to rejoin the Heresy, their navigators blinded from entering the Eye of Terror. In desperation, the Legion exited the war, arriving by chance or fortune at the Imperial world of Talon. Talon during the Great Crusade was a far cry from its future, being a lush, green and verdant paradise of a world, not a planet known for its industry or supplying great warriors, and by the standards of the Imperium it would have earned the title of backwater. Yet Talon's value came from its position. In other cases, Talon might have been transformed into a hub of industry, its resources squeezed dry. Yet during the early years of the Great Crusade, Talon had become a vital mustering world.
Oh, he really died?
A future army to spread across the galaxy. Much of Talon had been preserved in hopes of turning the planet into an agri-world, to feed the future growing Imperium. Yet beneath its surface, vast caverns and underground bunkers were constructed. Here the Imperium would have stored weapons and supplies for the next great war zones. As the Great Crusade had reached the boundaries of the Milky Way, Talon's relevance had faded. No longer the great bastion in centuries before, Talon was utterly vulnerable, as the ships of the 4th Legion arrived. The Primarch Perturabo would learn of a powerful relic hidden on Talon, a device named the Black Oculus, and so the fate of Talon was sealed.
I wouldn't trust
Just
something called the Black Oculus.
Istvaan III,
Sounds
Talon
ominous.
was virus bombed, a majority of his population murdered in its wake. Yet deep below, the regiments and people within the bunkers and caverns had survived. The surface of Talon had become a toxic waste, and when the 4th Legion learned of survivors, only regiments of tanks and titans could be deployed. The Battle of Talon transformed into the largest mechanized conflict in Imperial history to its date, and what should have been an easy conquest turned into a prolonged war. Elements of Imperial fists, Iron Hands, Ultramarines and Mechanicum, waged war alongside Talon's Imperial Army regiments, as over 10 million armoured units fought upon the destroyed surface. Reinforcements from both sides trickled in, as the weeks turned to months to years. Each conflict was Pyrrhic, neither side able to secure final victory. Frustrated, the War Master Horus sent an emissary to order Perturabo to abandon this fruitless campaign, but the Lord of Iron had refused. Ultimately using a corrupted astropath, the War Master managed to manifest himself before his brother, finally bringing the Lord of Iron to heel. Abandoning the siege, Talon became a rare traitor defeat. The planet's survivors transforming into their own new culture and regiment, one day coined the Talon Desert Raiders. Their guerrilla warfare tactics and tank crews would become famous across the Imperium, a proud martial tradition born from the fires of the Heresy. The Cataclysm of Iron. From Segmentum Tempestus to Pacificus lies a region of space known as the Belt of Iron, populated with a substantial number of forged worlds, all once dedicated towards the Great Crusade. Yet when the fires of the Horus Heresy began, this region of space became the epicenter of ruthless conflict. When the Schism of Mars broke out, the Belt of Iron fell into chaos. The legitimacy of the Emperor as the Omnissiah was questioned, and nearly every forged world fell into brutal civil war.
No.
It was not until 010 M31 that these civil wars boiled over into open conflict between forged worlds. Many sided with the Dark Mechanicum and the War Master, whilst others declared themselves openly for the Emperor. Others declaring independence, choosing to follow the Ordo Catastrophica, seeking the freedom of innovation. Here the Belt of Iron fell into the conflict known as the Cataclysm, where openly armies waged war for independence from both the Emperor and the War Master, or in favour of one or the other. The conflicts became so nightmarish that Titan Legios declared themselves independent from Mechanicum elements, forming Black Shield Legios. The dividing lines so deep that open war was waged in the Belt of Iron even to the early days of the Scouring. Ultimately, Forged Worlds were scarred, some annihilated entirely. Tagmata armies had torn each other apart with the same hatred as the Legiones Astartes, but the lines of hatred were drawn long before the War Master, and will continue in the millennia to come. Entire Titan Legios and Night Houses dueled, unleashing wanton destruction, dragging surrounding systems not affiliated with the Mechanicum into the conflict against their will. And when the conflict reached its height, elements of the Dark Angel's Legion arrived to intervene. Instead of picking a side or attempting a peaceful solution, the Sons of the Lion unleashed their world-ending firepower.
We're like not gonna talk
the
about
slate
this.
clean.
We're just gonna fight.
The Battle of Pluto. As the
Pluto!
galaxy burned, the Solar System faced two battles at the doorstep of terror.
This is the first I've heard of
The
Pluto.
Martian
Get
Civil
in there,
War raging
Pluto.
on Mars, alongside infiltration and sabotage by the Alpha Legion. Early within the Heresy, the Martian Civil War was in a death spiral for the loyalist forces of the Mechanicum. Unable to fight against their treacherous brethren of the Dark Mechanicum, First Captain Sigismund led an Imperial Fist strike force to the Red Planet, focused on securing as much war gear for the Legiones Astartes as they could. Yet the remaining loyalist forces came to understand quickly
W.
that their
Sigismund.
position on Mars was dire, and the decision was made for an organized retreat. Sigismund secured as many supplies as he could, including the first batches of Mark VII power armor, along with the tools and technology to produce them upon Terra. Loyalist tech priest and the new fabricator general of Mars, Zagreus Kane, would join the evacuation. And until the siege of Terra, Mars was placed under a heavy blockade. As the years passed,
Hey,
the
Pluto
Imperial
is a
Fists were
planet.
deployed en masse across the solar system, hunting down infiltrators and saboteurs. Even members of the Custodes who could be spared from the Imperial Palace were to counter spies or traitors present within the solar system and the throne world. Yet in doing so, Dawn had spread his sons thin, playing directly into the hands of Alpharius. The traitor Primarch had made his ploy, with outer edge system strikes. The largest at the Fortress Moon in orbit of Pluto, a key Ushapathic monitoring station. Hydra was a linchpin for the loyalist communication networks within the solar system. And if Hydra were lost, Traitor fleets could make their advance into Sol, without Terra having its early warning system. The ships of the 20th remained undetected, deactivating all but the most vital systems, and after months they had slowly entered Terra's system, and when the attack on Hydra had begun, the Legion ships flared to life. The defenders of Hydra, mortal and Imperial Fist alike, were utterly massacred. The Primarch of the 20th plan had almost gone perfectly, until the Loyalist vessel the Spear of Varia arrived. The small frigate had no hopes of surviving the Alpha Legion, or saving the Hydra station, yet the cruiser blazed at full speed, preparing to engage traitor forces. And at the moment the ship entered contact with the enemy, the ship began launching every boarding craft available, unleashing all of its weapons. The cruiser and its skeleton crew fought on for 22 minutes, covering the boarding parties until it rammed into the Alpha Legion heavy cruiser Cockatrice. The Imperial Fist boarding parties, led by Centurion Skekir, poured in. Alpha Legion elements attempted to ambush the Sons of Dawn, but were wholly unprepared for the elite Huskar Terminators leading their charge. The Huskars and the Centurion fought bitterly, fortifying and defending the plasma reactors of Hydra, their efforts cost in blood delaying the Alpha Legion's plans, to the point that the Primarch Alfarius himself intervened, slaying Skekir and the last standing Huskars. The delay in the Alpha Legion's plans allowed the Imperial Fist to counterattack, as the mobile fortress of the Phalanx arrived. The Praetorian of Terror came like a storm upon Hydra, as the elite Terminators of both legions, the Lenaeans and the Huskars, began engaging in close quarters. The brother Primarchs Rogal Dawn and Alfarius clashed, Alfarius toying, pleading that only if Dawn knew the truth, he would have joined him.
Alfarius, you're
Alfarius'
stupid!
pale spear struck out a dozen times, felling Huskar Terminators, and even their commander
You're an
Arcanus,
idiot!
the close son of Dawn falling at his hands. Each blow dealt to Rogal Dawn became a calculated strike, until finally the Praetorian allowed Alfarius to pierce, then wedge his spear into his shoulder. His weapon pinned, Dawn struck, cleaving his brother's hands and then his head from his shoulders. The Alpha Legion began their retreat, and despite the death of their Primarch, their true objective had been achieved, with the plans of the Sol System and Dawn's defenses stolen in the chaos. The Pharos Beacon. From the dawn of the Great Crusade, the Astronomicon upon Terra had acted as the Imperium's lighthouse, and with the onset of the Ruin Storm, Terra's guiding light was sealed, leaving worlds and systems isolated. Upon the world of Sotha, the Ultramarines had discovered the Pharos, a device that, while not as powerful as the Astronomicon, could project a warp signal upon Macragge, uniting Loyalist forces scattered during the Horus Heresy.
A big
It
signal
was because of the Pharos
to call all the
that
boys.
Gilliman could unify with his brothers Lionel Johnson and Sanguinius. Before the dawn of Imperium Secundus, Rabute Gilliman assigned Barabbas Dantiok as the Warden of the Pharos, a Loyalist Iron Warrior with a personal grudge against his traitor Primarch. As in the years before the Heresy's dawn, Dantiok had fallen out of favour with Perturabo, and the War Mist was sent to build the Shardin Hold in exile. When the Heresy dawned, Perturabo ordered Dantiok to return to the Legion, and assigned the Shardin Hold to be commanded by a hated rival of Dantiok. Betrayal,
no.
petty insults, and blatant disrespect allowed Gilliman to turn Dantiok to the Loyalist cause. In his service to Rabute Gilliman, Dantiok would also form the unlikeliest of friendships with Alexis Pollux of the Imperial Fists, the two warriors both brilliant commanders, and began to work together on the Pharos Beacon, aiding in the fortification of Macragge and Imperium Secundus. But when the Night Lords attacked Sotha, the unlikely bond was put to the test. Following the Thramas defeat, warbands of the Night Lords had selected Sotha as one of the Legion's regrouping grounds. Formerly of Sevatar's Cryptera, Captain Kirkesh the Pale had taken command. Unsure to the mountain structure's potential, the Night Lords began to infiltrate the system, and soon engaged in open battle. United together, Pollux and Dantioch led the Loyalist defense, commanding elements of shattered legions, Imperial Fist and Ultramarines in the siege. The warp beacon and accelerated travel provided by the Pharos went dark. The Night Lords heavily outnumbered their Loyalist counterparts, as reinforcements under Guilliman made the long journey to Sotha. Inflicting heavy losses upon the Night Lords, the Loyalists achieved a Pyrrhic victory, with Dantioch overloading the Pharos beacon and sacrificing himself to prevent the Night Lord's victory.
Oh no.
Dantioch would die in the arms of his friend Pollux,
Oh no.
the two having forged a true bond of brotherhood. In a funeral pyre, Guilliman proclaimed Dantioch a hero of the Imperium.
That's beautiful.
The Secession of Caliban. On the homeworld of Lionel Johnson, Caliban, the very man who had raised him as a son and a brother, Tsar Luther was to secede Caliban from the Imperium. All of his life, Luther had been forced to live in the Primarch's shadow. A mere mortal, Luther was the greatest knight of his era, but with the son of the Emperor
jealousy.
present, he was always a man to a demigod Primarch. During the Great Crusade, Luther would be exiled to Caliban, forced to rule the world and recruit new warriors for the Legion. And as the Horus Heresy shook the galaxy, Luther finally gave in to his bitterness for the Lion and betrayed him,
Boo!
tutoring the next generations of Dark Angels on Caliban not to be loyal to the Imperium or their Primarch, but to Luther and their homeworld instead. The old guard still present on Caliban was slowly treated to the side of the charismatic Luther, or killed for their dissent against the new regime. The homeworld of the Dark Angels grew silent, as fewer recruits were sent to join the Lion in his crusades. As the decades passed, Luther began dabbling in forbidden tomes, learning from the long-destroyed Knights of Lupus's library, as well as with correspondence from First Chaplain Erebus and First Captain Typhon. Luther learned of the true nature of the warp, of demons and the gods of chaos. Delving into these texts, Luther unlocked his latent psychic abilities. Yet ultimately, Luther refused to join the War Master,
Of course he's
intervening
psychic.
to aid Typhon from Corswain's fleets, but ultimately choosing to keep Caliban independent. The Disillusion of Imperium Secundus. For years, Imperium Secundus had withstood many challenges, yet the havoc caused by Primarch Conrad Kurz of the Night Lords formed a permanent rift between the triumvirate. Lionel Johnson had chased Kurz from one end of the eastern fringe to the other.
Can we catch
The
this
Night
guy?
Lords were having avoided and baited the Lion, first in the lower decks of the Invincible Reason and now Macragge. As the months had passed, the Dark Angels had begun to take more drastic measures in their hunts,
Over him.
as Macragge was placed under martial law, inflicting tension with the Ultramarines. Primarch Rabute Guilliman had become enraged when he learned that the Lion had purged regions of the long-troubled Illyrian Quarter. Guilliman broke the Lion's sword over his knee in frustration, as Emperor Regent Sanguinius banished the Lion from Imperium Secundus. When the Night Haunter was finally captured, the Loyalists
Got
learned
him.
from his visions and those of Sanguinius that the Emperor still lived. At the literal breaking point of the Alliance, hope was restored. With Kurz as their prisoner, the three Primarchs dissolved Imperium Secundus, assembling a Loyalist armada in an attempt to break through the ruined storm. The journey bringing the three Primarchs to where the Heresy had begun, to the world of Davin. In the boneyard of civilizations fallen to chaos, the Lion wanted to immediately destroy the corrupted world of Davin, unwilling to stay his hand, until Sanguinius and his Blood Angels drop-podded down towards its surface, before the Lion could enact his Exterminatis. The three legions were forced to battle the demonic hordes of Davin, but in doing so they learned of a path to terror. The War Master had left nothing to chance, assembling a rearguard of forces to stop the combined efforts of the Loyalist legions. Yet the Lord of Blood had made up his mind. He and the Blood Angels would run the gauntlet, and reach terror no matter the odds.
No matter what, we gotta
It was
get there.
Sanguinius' fate to confront his brother aboard the vengeful spirit, a vision he had seen many times in his life. But the Lord of Blood declared that his fate was his own. The Lion and Rabute Guilliman agreed, as the brothers realized this may be the last time all three would meet. The Ultramarines became the battering ram, Guilliman gathering every warrior within the Segmentum Ultima to carve a path for the Ninth to reach Terra, with the Dark Angels and the Lion vowing to destroy the homeworlds of the traitor Primarchs, hoping to draw traitor strength away from the siege of Terra and annihilating their recruiting grounds. Unwilling to give him the death he sought, Sanguinius placed Kurz in a stasis coffin, ejecting him into space to receive the judgment.
Put him in there! Put him in there!
Foreseen.
Lock him up! Throw away the
Path
key.
of Heaven. Enacting a guerrilla campaign, the White Scars battled elements of the traitor forces across the burning Imperium.
Okay, the White
Those who
Scars
betrayed
are coming
their
in.
Primarch above Prospero,
No, we're locking up
organized into the
bad
Sagian
guys.
Mazar,
Don't worry.
dispatched with suicidal determination to kill any traitors in their path, all for atonement.
Hey, that's
Bleeding
loyalty.
resources and men, losing engagements to the Emperor's children and Death Guard, who had adapted to White Guard tactics over the years. Now was the time for the Kagan to lead his legion to Terra. Utilizing knowledge gathered from the Legion's Stormseers, a potential route had been discovered, named the Path of Heaven. Before the 5th Legion's retreat, the traitors combined their forces, Mortarion and his Death Guard, alongside Eidolon and the Emperor's children, preparing to finish their now cornered enemy. The final path to Terra will be opened using a device known as the Dark Glass, an echo of the Golden Throne.
Of course it's called the Dark Glass, of course it is.
Gate, allowing the White Scars to access the Sol system and then Terra. In doing so, the Chief Stormseer, friend and most valued advisor of the Khan, Takata Yasuge sacrificed his own life for the Imperium,
Oh,
using his life essence to force the portal open.
a
Skirmishing
real
with
one.
elements of the Vanguard, Mortarion and his Death Shroud Terminators teleported onto the White Scars flagship, ultimately falling into a 5th Legion trap. The Sagian Mazar sacrificed themselves, dying to the last as the rest of the Legion.
Yeah, I wouldn't have
poured for the
ejected
opening.
him.
Heavily damaged, demons of Slanesh manifested aboard the White Scar ships, with Jagatai Khan himself slaying a Keeper of Secrets, until the Legion returned to real space. The Battle of Tresolian.
I would have, like, buried him in cement or something, you know?
The Primarch Lehman
I don't
Russ and
trust
his
that
legion
guy.
would depart Terra, preferring to take the fight directly to the traitors. Russ would seek out his brother Horus at Tresolian, where the sons of Horus battled local loyalist forces the Mechanicum. The wolves of Fenris launched at the traitors, with brutal ferocity, boarding the vengeful spirit, utilizing the rooms marked by the Knights of Errant, cutting straight to the heart of the flagship. Raw strength of arms could not win this battle. For the Loyalists, the only chance was a spear tip, drawing out smaller engagements in hope Russ could strike at Horus. Space Wolf kill teams striked vital targets, such as void shields, ammunition magazines, but also mausoleums of the fallen and galleries of hard-won trophies. The boarding action aboard the vengeful spirit was bloody. Fenrisian ferocity was matched by Chthonian brutality, and more than one commander of the Space Wolves abandoned their hit-and-run tactics, lost to the settling of blood debts. Undeterred, the Primarch Lehman Russ pushed on, finally drawing out the brother who had betrayed him.
Get him.
To Russ's shock, the War Master had changed. His features were older.
Oh, he
and his
hasn't
form
seen him.
pulsed with dark power. The Primarchs began their duel, and to Russ's surprise, Horus was much stronger than his previous self during the Great Crusade. With the Emperor's spear in hand, Russ dealt a grievous blow to Horus. The Emperor's spear should have enlightened Horus with the truth within himself, but in a moment's hesitation from killing the War Master, Russ made a vital error.
No!
His glimpse of his brother's previous self stayed his hand,
No!
until the power of chaos returned. Horus was renewed, as returning strikes broke Russ. Their Primarch mortally wounded, and the Legion in disarray, the Space Wolves began their retreat. Before
No!
Horus could deal the killing blow, a single wolf threw
He
himself
hesitated
on
because of
Russ's
love!
path. One after another, sons of Russ threw themselves at the champion of chaos. Dozens, then hundreds sacrificing themselves to save their Primarch.
Oh my
The
gosh.
Space Wolves' casualties were horrific. as the survivors managed to drag their Primarch to safety. Retreating, Horus ordered Abaddon to bring him the head of Leman Russ. The Space Wolves had become another legion utterly broken by the War Master, their numbers dwindling and on the run. Driven to the world of Urant and nearly exterminated to the last, were it not for the intervention of Corvus Corax and his sons, the Raven Lord lamenting over his brother's comatose form, as Bjorn had taken command of the last of their legion. The war within the Webway. The Imperium has been ravaged by the Heresy. Civil war while the Master of Mankind did not intervene directly, preoccupied with the war below Terra itself.
Oh yeah, he has to fix Magnus's mess.
His mightiest armies, the talons of the Emperor, the Psi Titans of Ordo Sinister, and the most trusted members of the Mechanicum on Terra, engaging in this fierce war. Ceaseless demonic legions, eager to swarm the Imperial Palace and turn Terra into a mass grave, assaulted through the very Webway Magnus the Red had broken into. Ancient city after city, built in a time long before man, and captured during the Webway project would fall. An estimated 9,000 custodians would fall in its depths, fighting an unending tide. The Psi Titans deployed, crushed under the impossible weight of demons. The conquered territories and winding tunnels once taken by the Emperor slowly fell until the servants of chaos would threaten the gate into Terror itself. Though superhuman and forged of a genius forever a mystery, the custodians have been pushed to a breaking point. Even the Silent Sisterhood fought beside them, their presence an anathema to demons.
The
but
sisters!
the ever-swarming tide could not be halted. Ultimate doom approached. The end of empires had come for the Imperium. A demon born from humanity's first murder. A creature known as Drachnien, launching a final assault. On the edge of defeat, the Master of Mankind was forced to personally turn the tide of battle.
Okay, he's
The
here.
price, 1,000 human psychers fed into the Golden Throne, so that the Emperor of Mankind could rise.
And
In
Malky
a
can
sunless
sit.
realm, the sun rose at last. The light of dawn was palpable on Ra's armor, as well as his skin. It was a pressure. Her presence was searing physicality.
The audio's cutting again.
The enemy hordes felt it as acid on their skin. The creatures, demons no matter what secular truths held strong, lost what little order they had ever possessed. The anathema. Ra heard their frantic agony as a sick scraping on the edges of his mind. The anathema comes. The sun rises. His features were those of one born in the wild lands of ancient Eurasia. His skin was a Terran blend of bronze and burnt umber. His eyes were darker still. His hair darkest of all. The long black fall
He
of his
was
hair
not
was held by a
white,
simple circled
heard.
crown of metal leaves, binding the mane back from his face so he could fight. More practical than regal. He moved as a man moved, coming through the straining ranks of his guardians on foot, pushing through the press of bodies on the rare instances they didn't instinctively move aside.
Tall,
for him.
dark, and handsome. That's
He
him.
wore gold, as all his guardians wore gold. The same sigils of Terran unity and imperial nobility that showed upon their armor were cast thricefold upon his own. His armor joints didn't growl with the
dark, and
crude
mandsome.
industrial snarl of
Never
mass-manufactured legionary
that in my
plate, but purred with the song of older, purer technologies. On his back, held by a simple strap against his flowing red cloak, was an ornate bolter of black and bronze. In his hand he carried a sword, one that looked nothing like the blade portrayed in the victory murals and illustrated sagas. By the standard of Terran lords and kings, it was inarguably beautiful, but in the grip of a ruler of an entire species, it was, perhaps, rather plain.
Oh.
A weapon to wield, a tool for shedding blood, not an ornament to be admired. Impossibly complicated circuitry lasted its blade, black and coppery against the silver so haloed that it was almost blue. In other wars on other worlds, it greeted his custodians with subtle telepathy. speaking their names as he passed them before a battle. Here he was more restrained.
All of their
moving
names?
to the embattled front rank without offering any acknowledgement
Jeeves.
at all. Of the Neverborn, some broke ranks and fled. These cowardly shards of their vile masters knew the destruction had come. Some tore into each other, cannibalizing their kindred for strength in the face of destruction.
Oh.
Some lost
Nobody's
what little
loyal
grasp they had on corporeality, their forms melting and dissolving before the sword-wielding monarch had even reached the front lines. The strongest raged at the sin of his existence.
The freaking aura, man.
With a stout bellow loud enough to shake the...
He's just catwalking to the front lines and the freaking demons are eating each other, being like, gotta get big, gotta get swole. Aura.
The windless air of this alternate reality, they fought to reach their archenemy. Ra was at the Emperor's right side, spear whirling, lashing out to punch through the amorphous bodies of flailing blue creatures that wailed through their many mouths. Sweat baked his face inside his helm. The blood in his muscles was heavier than liquid lead. The Emperor raised his sword in a two-handed grip.
Raised his boring
as his
ass
knuckles
sword.
tightened. The geography of circuitry ignited along the blade's length, spitting electrical fire and wreathing the sword's length in flame. He didn't speak.
It's not boring
He
anymore.
didn't look at any of his warriors. The sword came down. The Webway caught fire. Shapes raged in the flames, shadows and suggestions doing battle with demons. Their fiery forms indistinct and ever-changing. The fire-born avatars of fallen 10,000, knee-deep in psychic fire and thrusting with lances of flame. Silhouettes of space marines. The betrayed dead of Istvaan bearing axes and blades and claws.
He raised
Half-seen
zombie
sigils of
space
slaughtered
marines?
legions obscured by the ash of their blackened armor. A giant amongst giants. Its great hands bared and ready as it seared forward at the crest of the tidal fire. The 10th son of a dying empire, so briefly reborn in his father's emulating wrath. Demons burned in their thousands, their etheric flesh seared from their false bones. White flame haloed the sword in corrosive, purifying radiance. It coruscated in thrashing waves from each fall of the Emperor's blade. To look at him was to go blind. To stand before him was to die. The master of mankind's charge broke the back of the demonic hordes. What few custodies still present fought besides their master, as all others would now retreat from the Webway. The final act of the Emperor was to face the end of empires, and with the wisdom of ages, the Emperor transformed Draconienne into a blade, embedding its evil into Custodian Ra and Endymion, his most trusted servant. The son of a Terran warlord, the Custodian Ra fled into the Webway, the end of empires prisoner within him. The Custodian kept running, never looking back, and with the last of the Emperor's power, the Webway was scoured in fire. The master of mankind sealed the Webway gate, forever dooming the golden age he had sought to build. The Battle of the Arachna Chain.
No.
Following the Dropsite massacre, Shadrach Medusan of the Iron Hands gathered to him the largest warband of Shattered Legion forces, leading a guerrilla campaign against the traitor legions. Over the years, the War Master had grown.
Okay, we are getting news that we should watch a 30-second short. We are getting news that we should don't look at what I look at. Don't look at that. This one? Dude, there's a lot. There's a lot. There's a lot. Which one? This one's 15 seconds. The first one's okay. Okay. It's an ESIT? What does that mean? Okay. Oh. Fucked it. Hey. Oh. Hey. Guys, he's not a god. He just has aura for days. Did I swear? No.
Tired of Shadrach
No, I didn't.
Caesar's attempts and harrying of his legion, ordering Captain Thibaut Mar to deal with
that
the
was
Shattered
sick.
Legion remnants. For years, neither had claimed victory, till after numerous engagements, Mar challenged Medusan to open battle. The son of Ferris agreed. It was his hope that by breaking the sons of Horus in a direct battle, Medusan could forge the Shattered Legions under his command into a force that could challenge the War Master. Almost turning to civil war within itself, the Shattered Legions were joined by the Primarch Vulcan, utilizing Webway gates to reach Terra.
Vulcan lives!
Finding himself in the midst of this chaos, Vulcan shattered a false puppet which claimed to be the resurrected Ferris Menace, an icon of the rising cult of the Gorgon, the same force trying to usurp power from Medusan. The Primarch Vulcan refused to leave the Shattered Legions, as his destiny lay on Terra. The battle of the Arachnid Chain itself had been brief and vicious, the Shattered Legion sustaining heavy casualties. Yet their relentless assault had almost overwhelmed the sons of Horus. Overconfident in seeing Thibaut Mar retreat, Medusan committed to a teleport strike, in hopes of personally killing his rival. Countless times of luring the sons of Horus into ambushes, the Shattered Legions had finally fell into one of their own.
Oh,
Shadrach
no.
Medusan, loyal son of Terra, veteran of the Great Crusade and leader of the Shattered Legions, was executed by Thibaut Mar,
No!
scattering the Shattered Legions to the stars.
Even
The Primarch
more
Vulcan
scattered.
had continued on his journey to Terra, aided by both the Emperor and Eldrad Ulthran of the Eldari. The Primarch finally arrived upon the throne world, greeted
Vulcan's
by
here.
a nest of Imperial Fist Bolters and his brother Primarch, Rogel Dawn. Their embrace was warm and kind in these
They
dark
hugged.
times. Realizing the truth, Vulcan saw the Emperor's hand in his resurrection, and the forging of the weapon the Talisman of Seven Hammers. A doomsday device to be placed upon the Golden
When did
Throne
Rogel Dorn get a
and
haircut?
activated if Terra fell, detonating
More
the
like
planet
Rogel
and denying
Shorn.
chaos its victory. The Battle of Beta Garmin. Beta Garmin was an Imperial bastion that lay just outside the reaches of the Sol system. At the heart of stable space lanes, Beta Garmin was a corridor of supply to the Imperial throne world, and a logistical boon for any who held it. As the
A
Heresy
boon.
had broken out, contingents of the Alpha Legion and Emperor's Children had made moves to secure it. Loyalist forces had resisted at great cost for years, until the Imperial Fist and Salamander elements reclaimed the system for the Emperor. The Ashapathic Choir on Beta Garmin III had made the entire campaign possible, allowing for Rogel Dawn to stay in active contact with the system and Loyalist forces.
Nice.
As the years passed and the Heresy ravaged the galaxy, the Primarch Rogel Dawn knew that the War Master's forces would have to take this vital stronghold. And so the Imperials fortified with numbers matched only by those gathered during the opening days of the Heresy. Beta Garmin was the gate, and finally Horus had come to seize it.
And
The
Horus
campaign
was a
would last
knockin'.
for years, with billions of soldiers perishing.
Years!
What would be called the Great Slaughter. Thousands of Titans marched straight into the great and terrible Titan death.
I like how it's literally like they had a war for 22 days. They were fighting for a year. They were fighting for 5 years. Like, hello? Dang. It's like less than a month or 7 years.
Which would forever extinguish the proud lineage of the Caliga Titanica.
Oh,
the largest space battle
Titans.
of the entire Heresy fought in its world skies. A conflict in its own known as the Sea of Fire. Across 5 systems, traitors and loyalists fought. The sheer amount of warriors and munitions spent would clog worlds. Planets exchanged hands multiple times. Yet in the overall theatre, the Imperial war machine lacked cohesion, with loyalist reinforcements arriving scattered, and quickly picked apart. The god machines of Mars clashed until nothing but graveyards of metal dotted entire continents, and with traitor forces growing by the week. The Primarch Rogel Dawn would go as far as even to deploy Sanguinius and the White Scars, in hopes of turning the tide of battle. Despite the leadership
Send
of
an
the
angel
Lord of
boy
Blood,
out.
Sanguinius even claiming an engine kill on the Imperator Titan, Axis Mundi, the efforts of the Loyalists were unable to stop the War Master from securing total victory. Defeat was all but guaranteed. With his brother Jagatai Khan committing a hit-and-run campaign, the Loyalist resistance had reinforced and reorganized, and though the tide had turned towards the Imperium, the grander campaign required risks. The Primarch Sanguinius enacted an assault upon the Nicaean city on Beta Garden 2. Over the conflict, its surface had been reduced to little more than rubble, as Sanguinius deployed nearly 13 Titan Legios to walk its metal graveyard. Unaware of the War Master's ambush, the disaster became the infamous Titan Death, a masterful feint to the War Master. The Lord of Blood had expected to confront Horus and the bulk of his legion on Beta Garden 2. Instead, the War Master assaulted the 3rd planet, leading a spear-tip strike at his astropathic choir, the backbone of the entire Loyalist resistance. With his bitter defeat and the death of countless Titans, Sanguinius and Jagatai Khan accepted defeat. They had brought Dawn and Terror as much time as they could, as the war zone was abandoned in its entirety, all Loyalist forces retreating their way back to Terror.
Ooh, they got
For
out.
the War Master Horus, the wounds he had suffered at the hands of Russ with the Emperor's spear in the months before had reopened. Bleeding,
Good.
his consciousness fading, the War Master
Nice.
had ordered that all traitor legions gather at Ullanor before the final march. The path to Terror was now open. The Segmentum Solar would be besieged, and if he lived, Horus Lupercal would face his father.
Oh my
The
goodness,
shards
it's
of
happening.
Magnus.
Hydrate for the
The
Emperor.
Imperium believed the Thousand Suns had been utterly destroyed during the burning of Prospero, broken on the blades of the space wolves. Yet in the final moment of the death of Tisca, the Primarch Magnus the Red teleported his surviving sons to Sortarius, the planet of the sorcerers, a warp-infused world in the eye
Magnus,
of
we
Terror
said stop
that became
using
the new
psyker
homeworld of the
powers.
Thousand Suns, a dark mirror of their dead home. The Thousand Suns fleet, scattered by Magnus, located their lost brothers in Primarch, uniting the last thousands of the 15th. Warbands scattered across the galaxy, lost from the light of their legion, joined either the loyalist or traitor elements, when the Horus Heresy grew in scale. While the legion had survived, they had done so with their Primarch bereft of his physical form. Magnus the Red had survived Russ's breaking, yet his very essence had been shattered into shards. Led by Ahriman, the Thousand Suns began a quest to find the shards of Magnus, and restore their Primarch. Various shards would impact the wider heresy, one appearing before Jagatai Khan in the ashes of Prospero, convincing him to make his choice. Another before Artella's Numian of the Salamanders, on their journey to Nocturne. Over the years, Ahriman recovered 4 of the 5 shards, having traversed all across the galaxy in the war, battling loyalists and traitors who stood in their way, even travelling through time. While the 4 shards were enough to restore much of the broken Magnus, the attributed goodness and humanity of the Primarch was the last shard, located on Terra behind its walls. Resentful of the Emperor, the decision was made for the Thousand Suns to work alongside Horus, in hopes of reclaiming this shard. Yet unbeknownst to the
Magnus,
Primarch,
2 wrongs
the
don't make a
5th
right.
shard could never be reclaimed, having been implanted into the loyalist 15th son Janus by Malcador the Sigillite. The Crusade of
wrongs
Vengeance.
Don't make a
Throughout
right.
the Great Crusade, the Angels of Death, The first
Crazy.
Legiones Astartes had wiped numerous civilizations.
Can you imagine that this is a 10-season show? That's what I want, because, like, I know this is an over almost 3-hour video, but I'm like, but wait, what about this? What about this? What about this? Bro. What about this? I want to know. Okay. The Lion's Purge. And so the lion fell in love with the lamb.
The first
This is super
Legiones
simplified,
Astartes
yeah.
had wiped numerous civilizations.
But I want to
of the
get into
galaxy.
it.
And now, with the dissolution of Imperium Secundus, the Lion would make the traitors learn this truth. The full might of the Dark Angels was unleashed, the anger having grown fierce since the Thramas Crusade, and the thirst would be clenched in traitor blood. No traitor homeworld was safe from their wrath. Entire populations, those willing or unwillingly supporting their legion, were gifted Exterminatis. The traitor homeworlds of Barbarus, Chthonia, Olympia, Colchis and Chemos were utterly annihilated. Even Nuceria, which had transformed into a demonic world after Angron's ascension, was not safe from the Lion's wrath. Upon deliverance, the home world of the Raven Guard, the Dark Angels would be joined by Leman Russ and the surviving Space Wolves, as well as Corvus Corax and his few surviving Raven Guard. The destruction unleashed by the Lion's campaign forced the War Master to accelerate his plans to siege Terra, putting the traitor host in danger of losing their supply lines. The First Legion once again faced the Night Lords in the Tharos incident, and the Primarch Leman Russ even managed to avenge himself against the Alpha Legion on Vesdel Secundus. Though an unspoken tension soured the alliance of the Raven Lord, Great Wolf and the Lion. The First Legion never able to shake their suspicions of treachery or ambitions beyond the Emperor's designs.
Oh yeah, they hadn't
siege of
trusted him
Chthonia,
from the beginning, and they'll never
blockaded and
trust him.
occupied by the Imperial Fist Legion.
I mean, if they started off not trusting him in the beginning, and then they just went through this whole thing where, like, Horus betrayed everyone, and we're like, okay, that's Dad's #1, and he betrayed everyone, I'm pretty sure I would still stay skeptical. Because he had a funny feeling. I'm not saying it was right, but I'm just saying it makes sense that he wasn't convinced yet, you know? And like someone said earlier, in an era of betrayal, it's very understandable to not trust anybody as far as you can frickin' throw them. And you're a Space Marine, you can throw them pretty frickin' far. You're a Primarch, you can throw them pretty frickin' far.
From the very onset of the rebellion, the siege of Chthonia was an insult from Dawn, offered directly to Horus. The surviving sons of Horus who faced the
Okay,
Imperial
nice
Fists
hair, Horus!
began to dig in for the duration of the heresy.
That's new.
As the new tyrant of Chthonia, Evander Garius, who commanded over the loyalist elements, ruled over Chthonia with an iron fist, even forcing his people to be rapidly inducted into the Imperial Fists. Only when the siege of Terra had started to draw near, did Horus allow a detachment of his legion to avenge Chthonia. When forces of the Sons of Horus arrived, they were quick to brutalize the loyalist forces. As Chthonia turned into guerrilla war, with one moment the loyalists gaining
that
the upper
wasn't
hand,
Horus. I knew that.
only to lose it in the next engagement. Many of the commanders during this conflict had been
Nice
close
hair,
comrades
Abaddon.
during the Great Crusade. Yet there was no mercy to be found to one's previous brothers. After years of conflict, the Imperial Fist contingent on the verge of defeat, until elements of the Dark Angels arrived. The First Legion had no interest in aiding or saving the Imperial Fists, only enacting the orders of the Lion, the destruction of Chthonia. Scattered sons of Horus and Imperial Fist raced to escape Chthonia, as its surface was cracked and was met with death fire. The fall of the Death Guard. Amongst those traitors eager to sell their souls to the ruinous powers was Calas Typhon,
I'm not gonna
first
cry?
captain
Okay.
of the Death
I'll
Guard.
cry next time.
Corrupted long before the Imperium had reached Barbarus, Typhon had waited for the perfect opportunity to align his legion with the Blessed Grandfather. As the heresy drew to a close, and the siege of Terra imminent, Typhon accused the navigators of the Legion of being agents of Malcador, ordering their execution. the friend and first captain, then convinced Primarch Mortarion that the Psykers of the Death Guard could be used to guide their ships. A thought that repulsed Mortarion, having long banned psychic power within the Legion before the Edicts of Nikaea. Left with no choice, the Lord of Death relented. Typhon would lead his Legion into a trap, the Legion's fleet becoming trapped within
Everybody's
the war,
trapped.
and at the mercy of chaos. The Death Guard was struck by the Destroyer Plague, each inflicted legionary experiencing agonies beyond human comprehension, yet without the embrace of death. Mortarion, enraged at the betrayal of Typhon, struck his son down, calling upon the trapped demon Ignatius Grugor to strangle Typhon to death, fulfilling an old oath Grugor had made to kill Typhon. Yet Typhon returned from death, rewarded for his loyalty. The grandfather Nurgle transformed Kalos Typhon into Typhus, herald of Nurgle and host of the Destroyer Hive.
Sounds like
His
a
legion
disease.
suffering, trapped in an
Isn't
eternal
typhus a
loop of
disease?
undeath. Mortarion accepted Nurgle's demands, swearing his legion to the Plague Father. The Death Guard and Mortarion transformed, their bodies bloating and rotting in scale
Typhoid. I
as
was
they
close.
became true Plague Marines. The formation of the Grey Knights,
Oh, the Grey Knights.
seeking
We talked
those
about
of a
them.
curious nature, following the flight of the Eisenstein and the demonic incursion upon Luna. Malkador the Sigillite would create
The little
Knights
bros
Errant, with
of the
Garrow of
Custodes.
the Death Guard, and the Acton crews of the Sons of Horus. The Knights Errant became agents only to Malkador, recruiting others from both Loyalist and Traitor legions to join their ranks. The Knights Errant would undertake the most dangerous missions throughout the Horus Heresy, even at times coming into conflict with other Loyalist forces. Garrow led his warband across the corners of the burning Imperium, investigating Istvaan III, finding the surviving yet scarred Garviel Loken, investigating the
Loken!
loyalty of the Dark Angels and Luther upon Caliban, and preparing the vengeful spirit to be attacked by Leman Russ, even a clandestine mission to the Blood Angels' homeworld of Baal, and purging cultist uprisings that spawned upon Terra. The secretive nature of the Knights Errant, and their willingness to forego the codes of honor typical of the Astartes, made their undercoated silver armor a dreaded sight. Before the siege of Terra began, Malkador presented the Knights Errant before the Emperor, alongside 4 mortals who would create the foundations of the organization the Emperor had dreaded to make: the Inquisition. The 9 Knights would abandon any tie to their parent legion, even their own names. But one of them, the last Lunar Wolf Garviel Loken, refused to serve in the creation of the Grey Knights. His fate was to face his gene-sire, Horus Lupercal.
Ooh.
2 other Knights Errant, Helge Gallor and Nathaniel Garrow, were released from Malkador's service, having fulfilled their duty, and allowing them to participate in the upcoming siege. Gifted with weapons and resources, the 9 Knights were sent to the moon of Titan, commanding the psychic might of Malkador the Sigillite. The moon was hidden from the material universe. The muster on Ullanor. Horus Lupercal, comatose and on the brink of death following the Beta Garmin campaign. The traitor forces were leaderless,
Nathaniel
unable
Garrow
to
is
project
Luken's
direction
favorite.
from the
Does
Sons
he have a
of
video on
Horus.
him?
Command of the traitor forces was temporarily handed over to Lorgar Aurelian. Together with Perturabo, Lorgar was tasked with gathering the surviving traitor Primarchs. The demon ascended Angron and Fulgrim had to be brought in by force, with Perturabo and his Iron Warriors engaging Angron and his World Eaters into a stalemate. Lorgar, having his son Leax speak the true name of Fulgrim, forced the demon Primarch to his will, and summoned the 3rd
Ooh.
Legion for Ullanor.
The
Traitor
name
and
searchers.
Chaos Aligned gathered towards the once place of triumph. Dying, Horus Lupercal will be saved from his wounds by his equerry Malagurst, sacrificing himself to kill the last good within his father. Jealous and desiring the leadership of the forces of chaos, the Primarch Lorgar created plans to compel the demon Fulgrim to kill his brother Horus and allow him to usurp. As
Jealousy
the
is
traitor forces
disease.
gathered upon Ullanor, Even Magnus the Red offered fealty to the recovered War Master, as Lorgar approached his brother. Through the eyes of his mask, Leyak saw the sight of the War Master flicker, blinking between images. A towering figure of black shadow, face lit by ghost light. A warlord clad in wolf skins, his hands and face red with blood. A king cloaked in sable and crowned with burning laurels. A cloaked prince in pearl white and gold plate. Each image slid into being and away, each as real as the one that had just passed. Lorgar began to rise. His aura was a spinning cloud of wounded red and fever yellow. Mocking, impious
Horus
faces
was a
grinned.
trendsetter, go get her.
Blood was running from the corners of his eyes as he looked at Fulgrim. But the Prince of Pleasure did not move. Fulgrim laughed, and Leyak felt the sound as the caresses of 1,000 razors on the inside of his skull. Lorgar looked to Leyak.
Ow!
Leyak looked back into the eyes of the being that had broken his soul and made him a slave, and shook his head. Lorgar's mouth opened to shout. Leyak could feel his lord's mind reach for the warp, desperate, clawing, screaming. Horus stepped forwards. A wave of force flipped Lorgar through the air and onto his back. Leyak could see the currents of the ether draining away from around his Primarch. His aura was withering to the tatters of white
Lorgar
shroud,
has no aura.
but still he was a Primarch. His flesh forged by secrets known only to the false god who made him. He forced himself to rise. Horus struck him across the back.
Oof!
Crimson armor cracked,
Ah!
and Lorgar slammed down into the ground. Horus kicked him. Once. The movement a ripple of strength and a shrug of mental power. Lorgar flipped over onto his back. Horus lowered Worldbreaker to rest on Lorgar's chest.
You injure me, brother.
Said Horus. His voice was low, calm. You are flawed. You will falter, and the gods will abandon you.
But I do not go to make an empire for the gods, brother. I am War Master. The gods bow to me, and all will kneel and
Yeah, F
know
Lord.
that I am their savior.
Lorgar laughed. The sound chill. No, they will not. Horus looked at him for a long moment, then raised Worldbreaker. Cores of telekinetic force pulled Lorgar up. A haze of heat surrounded the Primarch.
You wish to take this power from me,
said Horus, and reached out with his talon. The blade fingers were white slits in the world. Lorgar's mace rose from the ground where it had fallen. Dust fell from its head as it dragged free, and arced to fall beneath Lorgar's feet.
Then take it, brother.
Lorgar looked at the fallen mace. Leyak was still, half his mind willing the Primarch to take up the weapon, the rest screaming for him to leave it on the ground. His breathing
Don't be
was hard.
stupid, Lorgar!
His skin was pale, the veins clear and dark beneath.
In the ashes of Monarchia, did our father give you such a chance? Come, pick it up. Kill the master you call weak. The gods are watching, Lorgar. I can feel them waiting.
Lorgar raised his eyes, straightening. Leyak could barely look now at Horus. There was just a void, a screaming wound in reality. He could see the War Master through, as if a different image were reaching his mind without his eyes. I pity you.
If you will not fight for your beliefs, then you will kneel.
Lorgar bent, invisible forces pulling him down until his forehead touched the black.
Obligatory Hamilton quote. If you stand for nothing, Burr, what would you fall for? No? I'm telling you, this is just like Hamilton.
Marble. Horus raised Worldbreaker above his head. Lorgar tensed. Horus paused. Leyak thought he saw the ghost of an expression flicker across Horus's face. As though for an instant something drowned, had floated to the surface of a storm-churned sea. Oh, please kill him, said Fulgrim. Please, This is just too wonderfully cruel to be allowed to continue,
Silence!
said Horus, still looking down at Lorgar. Fulgrim's laughter vanished. Horus lowered his mace. For a second, Leak thought Horus looked as he had last stood upon this world. Not a shadow of power, but a warrior. He was greater than any man, but less than a god. Terrifying and noble.
Go. If you enter my presence again, the judgment I withhold shall fall upon you.
Handing over plans of the Sol System defenses, then shattering a blade in his hand. A legionary claiming to be Alfarius Omegon broke the bonds to the War Master. Despite the objections of his son, the Ascendant Horus allowed the figure to leave. Having felt the death of his twin Primarch at the hands of Dawn, the Primarch Omegon inhabited the sole figure of Alfarius Omegon. Unwilling to choose a true side, the Alpha Legion would play no part in the Siege of Terror. With the assembled hosts of 9 legions, the War Master proclaimed his dark triumph, sacrificing a portion of each legion to the dark powers, and with the path of terror open, the champion of chaos, Horus Lupercal led the traitor armada to the gates of the Sol System itself. The Horus Heresy was over, and soon the Siege of Terror would begin.
Wah! That's it! Don't look at the smosh. Oh my gosh! Pachi, Pachi, Pachi! That ate me up. Hello? Hello? That was so good. I felt like I was watching a movie. Dang. But also, in feeling like I'm watching a movie, I have that feeling when I watch a movie where I'm like, now I want to read the book. Because I want to know more about what happened. There are so many, we got little snippets of things. I think I need an hour video on each one of those. Hello, should I have watched the Remembrancer 7-hour video? Dang, maybe. Crazy work. Wow, thank you, AJ, for recommending us going through the timeline. Thank you, Sierra, for recommending this video. Siege of Terror is big enough for an hour-long video. I'm pretty sure Siege of Terror is gonna take like freaking 3 hours. I'm interested in seeing other perspectives, right? AJ, you said there was another timeline that I can watch, and like I think since I'm taking a break for the next 2 weeks, my silly tiny little brain will forget, and then I can watch things. Because I was also thinking of like going back to like a full 40k timeline or like all the factions, kind of like Bricky's videos again. Now that I have more information, but I felt like watching this, I still needed to get more information. Like I was pulling up the name or like the numbers of all the legions because Amber King was like the 13th, the 4th, and I was like, which one is he talking about again? I was getting confused. But yeah, it was great. AJ suggests the Janovich vid. Okay. Arbiter Ian has a good concise timeline of the heresy, but I don't want concise. I was looking at Ian's one. I want more. But yeah. Is there any standout parts of the heresy that you guys think I would benefit from learning more about or reacting to? I like ones that'll make me cry. AJ, what's gonna make me cry? I did learn about the salamanders, but you said there's more. The Amber King has good primary character deep dives. He does. The battle on Istvaan will probably do that. Istvaan 3 or 4? Or nope, 3 or 5. Not 4. We don't talk about 4. Hey, we don't talk about that one. Who has good videos on Istvaan 3 and 5? Give them to me. The Dropsite massacre in the final battle between Horus and Big E. Heard. I'm gonna forget it's 5, but I think it's the one I linked. Sanguinius and... Oh, yes, Sanguinius and Horus. Yes, I still haven't... Technically, I haven't done a deep dive into Sanguinius. I was thinking of doing that soon because that's Riri's favorite. So, yeah. Sanguinius. Let's get into him, you know what I'm saying? Sanguinius. Sanguinius first, then Janovich. Heard. Okay. Rylanor's Last Stand. It's partially about Istvaan III. Okay. DVQO has a reading of the battle between Horus and... Ooh, a reading of the battle! Wait, I like that. I think... Okay, what makes more sense? You tell me. An overview and then the reading of the battle? Or the reading of the battle and then the overview? Because I think, like, watching someone's, like, full lore on Sanguinius and then doing the full reading of the battle, that could be good. That could be a Sanguinius thing. And then do the Blood Angels at a different time. Thoughts? You let me know. 100%! Yeah, let's frickin' go! There's a channel about Istvaan III, but I can't remember the channel. You can feel free to put it in the Discord when you find it. Or comment it as a video here. I think I have the chat saved in my YouTube videos, so I can go back and read it. But yeah, I'll do that. Anyways, thank you guys for hanging out. Thank you for coming to this reaction. I love that. Love the Amber King. Love that it was overview first would make more sense. Makes sense. Yeah. I love that it was voice acted. I liked the ambiance. Again, I felt like I was watching a movie. I saw one that was like Warhammer lore to fall asleep to, and I was like, I don't know if I want to react to that or if I want to listen to it while I go to sleep. That'd be cute to listen to while we do crafts, though. What do you think of that? Put that in the background while we do some crafts, while we paint. I love that channel. AJ, that sounds like it's up your alley. Great reaction. Good night. Thank you everyone for being here. I'll see you next time. Let me know what you guys want to see next. Sanguinius is up next. Who else? Blood Angels. The Kriegs. Yeah. That would also allow you to stream your crafts on YouTube, maybe? Hey, maybe. Bye, everybody. Bye.